Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for joining Semiagog. I am here tonight for an Ask Me Anything chill stream. We're going to be talking about this and that, and I'll be taking questions and chatting, and we're just going to hang out because it's Saturday night! And there's absolutely nothing going on. Except for this right here, we're gathered around the hearth fire of a good times, ladies and gentlemen. All I have to do is somehow avoid pouring my whiskey into my laptop, which is now back. And I'll be talking a little bit about what a miserable process and an expensive one all of that was. Please do follow this channel, Semiagog, as well as the old sister channel that has lots of other content that's not here. That's called A Safer Space. You can follow both of those on YouTube and on BitChute. The majority of the content is over on Odyssey, and I have updated that just recently with the clips that have been done most recently. It took me a little while to get them over there. They do not auto-upload if they're more than 2 hours, and pretty much all of them have been lately. So apologies for the folks who follow me over on Odyssey. Please do follow me on Telegram and on Twitter. And then there's also Minds, which, hell, I don't think I've even logged into Minds for quite some time now, but there's also Gab. So yeah, please do follow this channel. Also, please buy my goddamn books. This is Vinculum. It's set in a dystopian future. I think it's somewhere around the year 2076. And a book thief, one Alaric McBroom, has been retained to track down a kind of human book in order to obtain a text that is no longer available. And in the midst of it all, he's pursued by remorseless and relentless corporate hitmen, as well as an esoteric sect of assassins. You can find this over on Amazon, and the link for this book is available down in the description box below. Now, I don't expect most people will be interested because most of you are illiterate scum who do not enjoy poetry, but this is a collection of my poems, Cinders from the Bloomery of Youth. This is also available over on Amazon, and you will find a link down in the description box below. That, I think, is the boilerplate stuff. It only remains to say thank you to our mods. Certainly, Zed Dez is in the house. And thank you, as always, for being so kind as to come in and keep an eye on things. What else might I be forgetting? Hell, I don't know. But whatever there is, perhaps it will return to me momentarily. So I think the most important thing I can do now is pour myself a drink. Except this time, I'm going to do it over here on a side table. Because, boy, it was a pain in my ass. An expensive pain in my ass. I'm going to use my little cooler here because I brought enough ice out for myself because I said it's Saturday night! Okay. Let's see here. Let me see if I can somehow find a way to pour this without it getting too dangerously close. This is the shaker that fell on it before, and I kept it all neatly closed, but when it fell, the top just came right off and fucked me right out of about 2 full days of hassle of driving places and dealing with imbeciles and about $1,600. So yeah, I was not at all pleased with myself. I mean, not even a little bit pleased with myself. So yeah, I'm sure I deserved it. Okay, so before I start taking questions, Evan S says, why not just be safe and use an IV drip? You know, I considered a sippy cup, but that sort of thing should be set aside for a certain type of, ongoing degenerative dementia, and being a drunkard. It seems to fit for that. Yeah, but for now, I'm going to go with this. To you all, ladies and gentlemen, particularly to those who are kind enough to support my channel. I noticed I lost a few of those. A lot of people said they were just out of money. I don't blame them. I'm running out myself. And I thank them for having bothered to offer me any support ever at all. So Good on y'all. But those who are still supporting the channel, I very, very much appreciate it. And I think I should say this. I went through and I tried to check who is still a channel supporter and who's not. If your name is supposed to be on there and it isn't, now that I have my proper computer back, I can play the intro, I can update the graphics and do all that good kind of stuff. So yeah, let me know if I missed you. And thanks again. Now it's really Saturday night. Hell yes. Now all I have to do is try not to like roll sideways with my chair and spill my shit. Okay. And no, Zedez, you don't have to up any support. Your support is rocking right where it is. Okay. Upcoming yeah, I'm gonna talk to you very, very quickly here about some ideas I have for upcoming episodes and some things that are scheduled for sure, and that'll give me an opportunity to kind of give a shout out to my friends who have been I'm in the midst of talking with about putting together upcoming episodes and that sort of thing. While I do that, please start plugging in questions. I can see them best when you have them as at Semiagog over in the chat. And at Semiagog makes it easy for me to see them because that gives me a big highlight. And I'll start getting to them here shortly. I just want to talk about some upcoming episodes, and then I'm going to describe my miserable experience with Apple, which I think is worth my time to recount and yours to hear about, because in a lot of ways, I believe it shows us the future, our future, with the ongoing centripetal movement towards ever greater control, ever greater centralization, all the creepy shit that's going on in the digital world that seems to be part and parcel of turning the entire world into an airport. The airports are the places sort of between states. They're a liminal zone, but they are therefore, they've become the places where they want to x-ray your rectum and make you take your shoes off and have people pat you down and speak to you like a fucking animal that needs to like get into the proper corral line. And yeah, all kinds of other abuse that we all have to suffer quietly, because if you even so much as pipe up in response in a place like an airport, then your ass is going to get canned or, shoved out or arrested or whatever it is. The world is going to turn into one giant miserable airport. But in the course of that, I think we're going to see all sorts of things that, at least people my age have taken for granted as aspects of our society that more or less work, disappear. And so that's why I want to talk about Apple. But first, let me jump over here and see if I can find my list of upcoming possible episodes. Yeah, let's see here. For sure, the ones we have lined up. A Praise of Folly was on recently to talk about Russia, and he's a very sharp guy, intelligent, very knowledgeable about history. I enjoyed having him on. I appreciated having him on as a guest. And we are in the midst of talking about another sort of 3-up discussion, but I'm going to keep that under wraps for the moment. We're still laying it out. It's an area that he's done a fair amount of research in. I will say this. The thing I really need to carry it over the top, other than his kind participation, is I need to be able to speak to a couple of mercenaries, contractors. So if anybody knows cool guys who have done work as condottieres, as mercenary contractors who might be willing to appear live and talk about their experiences, don't have to show their face, let me know. You can either DM me over on Twitter. Don't put it in the chat now, but if you do know someone or you want to make a recommendation, do it once the clip is done. Once this live stream is done, do it in the chat below. Okay, what else? I'm going to be appearing with Frode over on his Guiding the Storm. Let me just get the date for that, because it's very important. If you want to catch it, he has it behind a paywall, but unless something has changed, as I recall, you can catch it live when it's actually happening. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be talking to him. I believe that will be 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and that will be Sunday the 31st. I don't know yet what we're going to be talking about, but I'm always happy to speak to Frody. Great guy. and I've had him on as a guest before. I've been a guest on his channel, and I've always enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to it. Do check it out if you have time. Sunday the 31st, I'll be talking to Frode Midjord. And then what else do we have going on? I need to just confirm this, and hell, he may have confirmed it already, and I haven't checked. He's absolute pro. That's Conscious Caracol in South Africa. Ernst van Zyl. I am going to be speaking to him on, and it still needs final confirmation, but that should be Thursday the 28th. He's apparently released a paper on what the hell, discrimination that's going on in South Africa and the sort of state of affairs there. And I'm going to be talking to him about that. And I expect he'll be giving us all an update on what's going on down in South Africa. He and Robert Dwegan, Marhobane, both great guys. They both do serious work. And as I've mentioned elsewhere and before, they take their shit seriously. They're working hard. They're organized. They have their ducks in a row. And they really should serve as an example to all of us. So check that out. That's Thursday the 28th. Still have to get the time worked out, but it'll probably be around 2 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken, pending confirmation. Okay, what else am I missing here? I already told you about Praise of Folly. Strategy series will be back. It will be back. I repeat, the strategy series will be back. The main issue is that I have to go back and watch everything that's been done thus far and exhume my notes and all the rest so I can get to it. That'll take me a little time, so bear with me. And last but certainly not least, Anteos has confirmed that he will be back to continue the Ezo Light in Darkness series. And I'm very, very much looking forward to that. He always shows up just, he's like Pharaoh. He just always shows up totally prepared, 100%, all T's crossed, all I's dotted. So there's a little bit about what's coming up. Now, I should also probably tease some of these other ideas. I think I'm going to be doing a stream on how dangerous women are. And for that, I want to get on some people whom I know have, like me, been up to their necks in the danger afforded often by females. So, you know, it's like the old joke about Nasreddin Hoja that I've mentioned before on this channel. You know, that in one of these stories, these joke stories, teaching stories, Nasreddin, who's an old man, goes rolling off the roof of his house when he's working on it, lands on his back. He's all fucked up, and his wife comes running up and says, Nasreddin, I'll get you a doctor. And he's like, stupid fucking woman, go find me someone who fell off a roof before. So when it comes to the subject of how dangerous females can be and the kind of cunning shit they can get up to, I want to make sure that I'm talking to people who have been there and done that, as I have. So yeah, I have to work on the guest roster for that. And then I think I still have to get back to these guys. I hope they're not pissed at me. Garrick Obama and Jay Burden. I think I'm going to do an Elric stream. Elric as viewed from the right, but I want to find some expert who's not Razorfist to come on and sort of, you know, round out that panel. I've got one thing planned with Pharaoh, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get it together. What else? Dangerous women. I want to take a look at humiliation rituals, what we have anthropologically speaking in terms of research that's actually been done on rituals of humiliation, because we often talk about how, you know, we're undergoing a kind of ritual of humiliation in so many respects here in the West. Well, figured it'd be interesting to take a look and see what we know about that without, you know, tongue in cheek. So yeah, that's some of what's coming up here. Hopefully more besides. So before we get to the questions, again, people, put your questions over in the chat and add an @Semiagog to them. So it'll make it easy for me to see them. So as soon as I start blathering, stop blathering, I will roll back around and take your questions, and we can go from there. I see all kinds of cool folks in the house. Cyberpunk Internal Affairs, responsible for the awesome music at the opening of this stream. Thank you very much, sir. I see King Salmonfish is in the house. I don't have as much time as I'd like to be able to go over and check out his content. He's always, you know, hammering at me to go take a look. He does have a channel of his own. So check out King Salmonfish. I see Guy from V, Minoan, all kinds of folks here joining us. So yeah, I think I need to light a cigarette and tell you why Apple is just as disgusting as an international airport terminal. Oh, God damn it. Shit tastes good. One more. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it is Saturday night. Ow! Okay, let me just get myself a cigarette. I roll my own, so I don't take them out of a box. Got them in my own bag over here. Yeah. So, as many of you will know, I screwed up. I was about to do, that's another upcoming episode. I was going to do it that night. It's called The Book of the Body. And I lost that whole goddamn set of notes, which was very extensive because I'd been working on it for a while. I lost it and couldn't do that stream because, as I said, I spilled a fucking whiskey all over my more or less brand new laptop, which, set into motion all of this stuff that I'm about to talk about here. However, that Book of the Body episode is going to be coming up soon. And I think that will be very, very interesting. Anybody who's into exercise of various kinds, martial arts, yoga, meditation, any of those sort of esoteric things related to the physical. And that could range from being a fucking a tantric sex artist to a trapeze star to some sort of yogic master to people who are weightlifters or into MMA or whatever. I'm going to be discussing a way of looking at and thinking about experience of the body, consciousness of the body that can be applied to doing more with it. So it's certainly not the kind of thing where I'd be coming in saying, do this, don't do this. It's more like maybe think about whatever it is you're already doing in this way and see if it yields additional insights and all the rest. I do not claim to be some sort of like physical, master, but for 50, I'm in all right shape and certainly in far better shape than I have any right to be. So yeah, back to fucking up my computer like an imbecile. Well, I screwed it all up. Had to go back to my old laptop. Caused all kinds of problems. Caused all kinds of issues. However, I got on it fairly quickly. I said, I'm kind of close to this one big city, so I'll go there rather than back to the big city I used to live in because it's just a hair closer, and I just didn't want to go back to Atlanta. So I went over to this other big city, and I dropped my computer off at the Apple store. And it really struck me. There were just there's just crowds of people who go to the Apple store to hang out and be cool. I don't even get it. Like, I mean, when I was in, my first few years of high school, we'd go after high school to the arcade and play video games and buy Coca-Colas so we could sit at the little tables set aside in the food court and ogle the girls or whatever and have our mohawks be sideways or whatever. But people seem to want to hang out in the Apple store. And then at last I saw, they don't have any alcohol and there's no smoking area. And they don't have any video games, I don't guess. And everybody they just want to be seen there. It's really kind of a disgusting place. The other thing is that it's done to be all minimalist and cool looking inside, but then you get up to any area you're actually supposed to deal with, and you'll find that like certain areas of the tables are all like worn out and like have all kinds of gummy, dirty, filthy shit stuck in them and the rest. So like as soon as you look beneath the surface, it's not this miraculous utopian, tech hub. And there's a particularly diverse crew in there. And there's a whole lot of them, and they're all standing around. So let me look at my notes over here. What happened? I have these notes under the humiliation ritual notes, and to a certain extent, it's almost as though my experience at Apple fits as one of these humiliation rituals, where we see the overweening centralization and the snottiness of the new little technocratic functionaries who themselves couldn't even imagine doing anything except maybe reassembling a laptop or unscrewing it and adding new parts, who could never come up with any of this themselves. But they're all the bright new future standing in their little crowds inside the store, including the people who work there. So what happened? Well, first off, I had been over there and they're just fucking assholes. They're like, go wait at the Genius Bar. And they had me make a fucking appointment before I go. I don't know why any of these people make a big show about make the appointment before you come, because they're never fucking ready. They're never ready. Make an appointment. Huh. It's so much more, we've got it all together. We've got our act together. Everything's tight, come, and it's going to be at a specific time. There's no waiting, just make sure that you make an arrangement with us, an appointment beforehand, and show up. And you'll still sit there for 30 minutes waiting for them to come out. That's what happened. And finally the guy came out and I said, yeah, I'm a dumbass. I poured alcohol all over my laptop. And he's like, well, why didn't you just cut it off? I'm like, because it was covered in alcohol and I was like busy trying to turn it sideways so it would run off before it shorted out. So then he went through this big rigmarole of like telling me all the stuff associated with it, because he had to tell me, because it's full disclosure, including the full amount I might have to pay to have it fixed. And then I turned it over to him, only to like get an email later that included a bunch of shit he hadn't mentioned. The email said stuff like, you have been informed of what the trade-in value was. And no, I wasn't. Anyway, that's just, that could happen with anything, but the core, the essence, the continuing theme of this entire experience is something in and of itself. So, I waited, I don't know, 2 months or whatever, 8 weeks. It's a good thing I had one as a backup, because I would have been screwed, for the computer to come back. And when it did, I wanted to make sure that I was able to pay, and with the method I had in mind, and I wanted to make sure that the computer was actually there and stuff. So I called them before I went. And, I'd have to drive roughly an hour and a half to get there, and then an hour and a half back. So you can imagine I would want to ascertain beforehand, that everything is as it should be, and I will be able to conduct my business there and then get the hell out. So trying to call them. Well, the issue there is trying to how does this go? I have a whole list. Okay, so first I tried to call the store. They'll never connect you directly with the store. You're fucked. Now, the way they explain that later, I discovered, is they're like, oh, if everyone's busy at the store and they can't answer the phone, then it'll go to the automatic Apple system. Man, I've been in that store 3 times now, and every time I walk in there, there are people standing around, groups of them, all with their little Apple badges, doing nothing. Nothing. Now, there'll be a few people working, but the vast majority of them are doing nothing. You can't reach them on the phone. And they have an excuse to tell you why you can't get them on the phone. Supposedly it's to make it, more responsive for you, even though they're busy, because they're so busy making sure that everybody's taken care of. But they're not. So, yeah. So I had tried to call the store, got bumped over to the main Apple system, and then I talked to a robot. I'm like, speak to a representative. And they're like, I understand that you want to speak to a representative, but so that I can get you to the person who can really take care of your needs, can you tell me what I need? So you deal with all that bullshit. Then they send you to a human. Well, the first one I got was like some person who had clearly had some kind of fucking headset in front of their mouth. So the whole time what I'm hearing is like they're trying to blow the house down for the 3 little pigs. It's just like, well, yes. I let me check to see if your laptop is going to be available. I'm like, no, I just want to speak to someone at the store. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to someone at the store to make sure that it is there and that they will take the type of payment. And I want to ascertain whether or not I'm getting the old case back, or if they've completely replaced it, what the cost is. Anyway, then that human couldn't get their shit together. So what they did is they said, wait a minute, I'll find out what the store is. I'm like, well, I tried to call a couple numbers both times, and I just got this Apple system and I just want to speak to someone at the store. And they're like, well, let me check here. Well, use this number. And I'm like, well, I called that number and that's what put me to the Apple system. And she's like, okay, well, I'll connect you. And then she cuts off or whatever, and then it connects me to this new person, and the new person says hello. And I said, yeah, I'm trying to call the Apple store. Oh, you want the Apple store? Hang on. Click, presses a button, and next thing you know, I'm back in the fucking the phone system, the phone limbo with the unbaptized children. Limbo. Yeah, who was it? Was it what's his name who said that? Comedian with the beard, old skinny comedian with the beard. Carlin. Did he say limbo? Anyway, I was back in fucking limbo. So then I got back on the telephone. I had to talk to the fucking robot again because it wouldn't give me the store. I got another human. This one was a country southern black chick who just was not out of the double-digit IQs. And so she said, well, I'm going to go ahead and connect you to my supervisor. And I got the supervisor, and supervisor had NPR voice. He said, well, Mr. Perrin, I'm very happy that you've gone to the trouble of trying to reach the store, and I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Hopefully I'm in a position to help you. And I told him all the stuff that had happened. He said, oh, that's really weird. And I said, yeah, it is weird, but really, I just want to talk to a human being. So finally, that dude got me to a tech at the store who couldn't get off the fucking phone fast enough. And this guy was, saying, yeah, your computer's ready. I'm like, yeah, well, what was changed? Well, yeah, pretty much everything was changed. Okay, how much is it going to be? Well, it's going to be 1,475 before tax. All this has taken me an hour, ladies and gentlemen. So then I get in my car the next day. I drive over there, and I come in the door, and there's a whole crew of geniuses. There are geniuses everywhere, very diverse geniuses. And at the table by the door, I come in, and this woman asked me. She's actually got her act together. This black chick. She's like, "Hey, can I help you?" And I'm like, "Good. Somebody's asking quick, right?" Bing. Walk over to her. Yes, I had my laptop repaired. I'm told it's ready, and I'm here to pick it up and pay for it. Right. Keep it simple. Don't confuse them. And she looks at the computer for, I don't know, like 5 minutes while I just stand there. And she says, yeah, I'm going to have to check on that. I'm not sure your computer's here. And I'm like, I just drove an hour and a half to get here. What the? Okay. Stay calm. Stay calm. She disappears. Another person comes back. And I'm sorry, she disappeared. Yes, she goes off to check on something. The other person at the table, not the one I was normally talking to, the other one says, go stand over there at the last table on the right by the back. That's where, and we'll come and get you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's person number 2 who spoke to me. I go way to the back. I'm there like 15 or 20 minutes. Another person comes out and says, have you been helped? This is a totally different person. So it's not 3 I've spoken to. Person says, have you been helped? I'm like, yeah, I'm here to pick up my laptop. He's like, oh, well, it's not showing here. Let me check and see if it's there. Again, I'm thinking to myself, I fucking called you people first, right? He disappears. Finally, this black chick in a headscarf comes out with some kind of mouth breathing younger white guy. And he has the exact same kind of thing going on with his upper teeth that one character has from what's that? Stranger Things. He's got that weird thing, like he's almost got like his teeth make it look like he's got some sort of retainer up here. And I'm talking to the 2 of them, and it's this weird thing where neither one of them really knows enough, but they're like, well, we'll put 2 half people in front of you, and maybe they'll equal a whole person in terms of being able to answer your questions. And remember, I've spoken to 3 people already before this. So now I'm at 5 people. These 2 I've never seen before. The black chick with the headscarf explains to me that they're having some kind of problem with their payment system, so they're going to have to issue an Apple gift card for me to be able to pay for it. And I'm like, whatever, just give it to me, I checked the serial number on the machine. She shows me this stuff that was replaced, and then she says, well, we're going to email you your receipt. That's another thing I fucking hate. Don't email me anything. I want paper, bitches. I want paper. Anyway, I get emailed the receipt because I'm just like, just get me out of here. Just get me out of here before somebody slips and falls and their dick goes in my ass. So I split and I drove home. Computer's mostly working. There's something weird going on with the headphone jack where it doesn't recognize it on the system or whatever. But then I realized they didn't send me the fucking receipt. They sent me an email that has it just has a record of the fact that I paid for a $1,600 gift card. Oh, did I forget to tell you? Because I decided to go to this very liberal city, this very diverse city, to get my laptop repaired there because I thought it was closer. It's fucking 10% sales tax. So anyway, yeah, and they didn't send me my proper receipt. That took another couple days. I still have to get on the phone with them again in order to be able to figure out. Apparently, they like owe me money because they overcharge me. But they're like, you get $10 back from you. I don't even understand. It's so inefficient. All because it's centralized, and all because they've got crowds of these fuck sticks. I swear to God, it looks just like the old days where, you'd be driving down the road and you'd see some like highway construction crew and there'd be like 8 guys standing around talking while up at one end was a guy holding the stop sign that he can rotate. And at the other hand is a guy who's holding the stop sign that he can rotate. And one guy is operating a front loader or whatever, some kind of a bulldozer-ish thing or something, right? And you'd literally have a crew of 5 or 6 other people standing there. And I kind of get that. You can get hot. It's you're actually working. Maybe you stand still for a little bit. Everybody who drives by doesn't see everything you do every day. All right. But at the fucking Apple store, I swear to God, they had 12 or 15 people in there. I never spoke to any one of them more than once. Everybody kept coming to me a different time. Think about how inefficient that is. How much was going on behind the scenes where every one of those people had to like tell the next one what was going on before they could come and do their thing? And think also of how that neatly makes it seem as though they're all always busy doing something, except that nothing is ever really getting done. And if it is getting done, it's getting done just barely. I mean, the black chick in the headscarf was just like, I mean, this is fucking stupid. The rest of them, like the black chick I spoke to when I first came in, she had her shit together. I mean, as much as you could working at an Apple store. The rest, everybody was all just kind of dumb. And think about that. That's the system. It all goes to the centralized system. They've all got their little devices where they can like hand it off to each other. I'm sure they can put the one window next to the other window on their two devices, and they can go swipe, and they can swipe the thing from that they think exists from their one phone to the other phone by just swiping it, and they can hand it off, except nobody knows what the fuck is going on. I've never seen anything in my life like that. And apparently that's what's going on all over the place everywhere. And it's increasingly going to be what's going on. So not only are you going to have the surveillance state with the kind of what is that? You know how they smile at you like a stewardess does? The waitresses who fly, they'll smile at you to show their teeth, but there's nothing friendly about it. It's like this weird passive aggressive. Would you like a Jack Coca-Cola? I'm like, yeah, but I'd like it in something other than a thimble that's got like one small piece of ice in it that's pushing the thimble full of Coca-Cola out, or could I have a package with more than 3 peanuts in it? Huh? No, right? Like that kind of passive aggressive frenemy hatred, security state, surveillance state bullshit, and just like a kind of like frosting on top of little sprinkles, it's going to be absolute chronic incapacity, slobbering imbecility, and all of it's going to be decorated like some great utopian future. I don't know what to. I tell you honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to see them anymore. I don't want to go around human beings anymore. The country people I'm living around now, they do things at the speed I want to do it at, which is pretty chill. You never really have your pants on fire, right? There's shit'll get done. We're coming. We'll get there when we can. That's how I pace myself anyway. I like it out here, but the cities, I just don't want to go back anywhere near them. They're filled with fucking imbeciles, and it's getting worse. The bio-Leninism at this point is sufficient to, I mean, it's like imbecility and incompetence. They arrive at a point where it really is like termites eating the everything, eating the roots of Yggdrasil, just gnawing up everything and turning it to like, little mud castles. It's anyway, ladies and gentlemen. That was I needed that venting. I'm so glad to be with you all on this hot Saturday night. And yeah, so let's turn to questions now. And I will drink this and pour myself another one and enjoy it very much. Do we have questions, ladies and gentlemen? I want to see at Semiagog over on the side in order to know that question has been directed at me. And if you did them way back, they might be out of my sight now because I'm looking. Let me put it on. It's on top chat. I set it to live chat. It goes to top chat. You fucking assholes. All right. Yes. I'm going to move forward here and look for questions while I drink this and light a cigarette. Good questions, ladies and gentlemen. Pull me forward. I'm here to work with you. I'm here to try to answer these questions. I can answer things about geopolitics in terms of my opinions on this, that, and the other thing. There's no theme tonight. You can ask any crazy shit you want to. The only thing you risk is being ignored. And everybody should know by now that generally I don't ignore people, certainly not people who've been on my channel for a while. This shit tastes so good. Oh my God. I upgraded a little bit. I still got my bullet for when I want to drink it straight. I tried some Evan Williams in the glass bottle, black label, whatever. That seems to be the bottom. I can drink that and not have a terrible headache, and it's fine. It's good for making mixed drinks. But I thought I would try the Jim Beam Black. It's all right. Oh. So yeah, get your questions ready. I'm just pouring myself one more, and I'm going to do it over here so as not to injure myself and have to go back through that entire process with apple again, which was deeply degrading and unpleasant. Oh, there's still another one in there too. Woohoo! Oh, don't put it on your desk, Oliver. Shit fire, you're going to mess something up, boy. Nah, I just need ice. I don't know, where the fuck did this come from? This is a cooler that's supposed to look like a car battery. It's at my mother's house. She's like, do you want to take that, honey? Because I don't know where that came from. I need a small cooler. That might work for when I want to drink. Anyway. Who the fuck knows? Okay. Now a cigarette. We're going to get to these questions. Yeah, I see somebody down here. This is Elijah Schmidt saying, I'm sorry, Semigog, it's your fault because you bought Apple. Yes! You know what? I used Apple way back in the day, man. I was using Apple from the very beginning. I mean, the very, very beginning. I learned how to use Aldus PageMaker on an SE30. And I was using like Mac Paint and Mac Draw on an Apple Plus. And I've still got one of those in a box around here that I might pull out eventually. I used to love Apple. And it was always overpriced, but that's cool. You got better thinking. You got more security. The software always worked. And now, you know what? That's the other fucking thing. The last laptop that I had that I destroyed, it had the system software just prior to this one, and this one's new software, Retardatron fucking AOL, big fat happy buttons for like senior citizens. This software is called 12.4 Monterey, which is just fucking retard shit. They basically made my desktop look like a fucking iPhone or an iPad. It's so and nothing fucking works. Nothing works like it's supposed to anymore. So yes, I agree with you, Elijah Schmidt. I am probably never buying an Apple product again, ever. That said, back in the day, there was good reason to buy Apple. They made good shit. They made some of the best shit. I mean, if you wanted a ripping fast 3D rendering machine or a gaming machine, yeah, you had to get a PC and build it out yourself. But for graphics work and that kind of stuff, generally, everything worked. You didn't have any problems with conflicts, with extensions or whatever. Back in the day, Apple were good. But yeah, now I guess I deserve it. All right, moving along, looking for questions here. Okay, what is this one? This is from, fuck. See, my problem is that I can view it. On live chat. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'll have this worked out just momentarily. But if I want to share it on screen, I have to be over here in... Oh my God. Mr. Ixme's in the house. Ooh, old friend. Cool. And moderator too. I hope she still has a wrench. I'm getting there. Here's one I see that I'll answer on the way. Semigog, Metallica, or Megadeth. You can pick only one. Dave Mustaine I've never really into him. Metallica. I've listened to Metallica. And I went to go see them. I've seen them live. Yeah, once. So that answer is easy. It's Metallica. Okay, God damn it. I'm trying to catch up. This is a question from Lowell that I would like to answer. All right. Well, I'm just going to go through them here then and not even look over on the left. Fuck, this is just then they're not highlighted. At Semigog, when is the next AA stream appearance? Also thoughts on Shinzo Abe's assassination. I also know some PMC guys. I'll send you a DM after the stream. Oh, he must mean contractors. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. Shoot me a DM or put whatever your suggestions are down in the chat. Again, I'm looking for mercenaries who've worked in their field. Yeah, I don't know when I'm appearing with AA again next. I just did a UO with him recently. Always happy to appear over there. Love those guys. If you don't know about Academic Agents channel, go check it out. Great crew over there. They're the ones that I'm tightest with over on the YouTube side of things. I also like Frody and Woes and some of that crew and Jared and Jason. But I'm also I'm most tight with AA's crew, so I definitely recommend Academic Agents channel. Shinzo Abe's assassination. I saw the homemade firearm, the improvised firearm, and yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I can only say what I've said previously in places like Twitter. I think on the one hand that you could be seeing a message that was intended to be sent to the current prime minister, kind of telling him that, you know, even when you're out of office, if you don't do things right, you could run into some problems like, say, old Shinzo over here. It also seems as though, because his party, from what I understand of it, was still fairly powerful, it could be that people wanted to take the traction that his party has and take it in a direction different than the one he himself might have wanted to have taken it. And with an additional shot in the arm that comes with the emotional associations with having seen the guy be gunned down and the feeling that something new must be done or whatever, and the idea that everybody would get behind them at that point. So I don't know. I don't know enough about Japanese politics. And I don't know enough about that. But while it is possible that the guy was what Tim used to call a lone dagger nut, because he used to make the joke about a lone gun nut, but then he was talking about how Philip of Macedon was killed by a lone dagger nut, and Tim had always felt that that Alexander and his mother had been behind that. So he'd like to say lone dagger nut, you know, totally random. It was a lone dagger nut. You know, maybe it was a lone dagger nut, lone improvised shotgun nut. But I tend to doubt it. So let's move on to the next one. And hopefully I can get myself all organized here. King Salmonfish is saying Ali is boned on the ignoring me game. Dude, I hope you're ashamed of yourself, because before I even saw this, I gave your channel a shout out. Damn it. Okay, next. Oh, I'm trying to catch up here. This will all begin to work in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Once I have my YouTube chat lined up with my original chat, then I will be in a Northern Wolf. I still don't have these things lined up, but I'll just take the questions as I see them. Any thoughts about the destruction of the Georgia Stones? No, and I don't understand why everybody cares about those things. I don't know much about them. Care less. I don't know. They never seemed like some sort of strange conspiracy evidence or anything. It just seemed like some dipshit had decided to put some not even really remarkable pieces of granite. Yeah, it cost a little bit of money or whatever they're made of. But I mean, out in a field somewhere in fucking Georgia? I mean, huh? So yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that, Northern Wolf. I'm sorry to say, I don't know much about it and haven't really cared. Pyramid head says your forearms are looking jacked. That's right, Daddy. See those jacked forearms? You feel me? But my biggest muscle is right there. You see that? I could just crush you. Don't let me grab your clavicle. I can just smash it right there. You see that muscle right there? All right. Semigog, did you blah, 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 blah. This is from Episkipos. Episkifos? I don't, what does that mean? An unsheathed sword? Skifos. I don't know what that means. Semigog, the upper sword? Epidermis? Episkipos? Skipos? If skipos is skifos, then it could mean the top part of a sword. The tip of us? I don't fucking speak Greek. Who do you speculate did the explosions in the port of Odessa? All I have seen is that Russians with attitude were pointing out that a storehouse had not been hit, that a ship had been apparently ship or ships had been hit, and that's all I have seen of it. I'm assuming the guess about who's responsible is because there's some rumors going around that Russia is saying it didn't do it or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. Interesting, Mr. Ixme. So yeah, I don't know enough about that in terms of this recent hit in Odessa to say anything about it. I'm sorry. Mr. Ixme says the apple in Portland and many other cities likely is a glass box wrapped in a big ugly metal fence. Utopia? Well, no, the one I went to had no metal fence around it, but it was kind of a swanky shopping center that didn't look. God damn it, man! I have to get the arms on this chair to just a slightly different height so they don't squeak against my desk every time I go forward. No, I look like I'm handing a game. All right. Yeah, there's no fence around it. It was in a swanky shopping mall type scene. And the impression I got is that it was far enough out from the city center of the place I was going that there's no public transportation there. So, you do the math. Elijah Schmidt says, Yo, Semiagog, I just joined in. When's the next episode of Light and Darkness coming out? I will expect it when it arrives. Anteos is German. He's solid. He does what he says he's going to do. He just needs a little bit of gap in between the episodes, and it works out fine because the series keeps going, and he always shows up with great quality stuff. So I guess that's a long way of saying I don't know. The next episode is when Anteos is ready. As my bookbinding teacher from Britain used to say, I'll expect you when you arrive. The same woman who said, your tea. How do you take your tea? What? Your tea. How do you take it? Okay. Let's see here. Okay, this is from Julius Flavius. I'm not sure I can make out this question. What does the question mean? The entertainment industry likes to race swap, being tired of the white. Yes. So yeah, that's like, yeah. Notice they haven't race swapped Anne Frank yet. Why don't they adapt some Conan? Plenty of non-white folks in that story. Yeah, Juma, man. Juma, the big African who was like Conan's buddy. Yeah, there are all kinds of other characters in the Conan stories. I don't know. The Conan stories have been fucked. The first Conan movie was Schwarzenegger by Milius, and with the Cobb set design, which was awesome. It's a great movie, an absolute classic, but it's not really Conan. And they don't want to. They'll never do Conan. They'll never do him correctly. He'll never have black hair. He'll never have blue eyes. He'll always be mystery meat. They'll never do him right. He's supposed to have black hair and blue eyes, and they always make him too much of a bodybuilder. They just always fuck up Conan. So yeah, I think the problem there is they always want to fuck up Conan. So there you go. That's what you get. Yeah, all right. What's next? I'm sorry, I'm just seeing everybody in the chat. All kinds of psychopaths in my chat. Why is everybody in my chat a psychopath? Does it have anything to do with the fact that it's late at night on a Saturday? I don't know. What is this from? What? All right, I'm going to go ahead and give another free plug to fucking King Salmon Fish, who claims that I'm always ignoring him. You really need to go watch the Vibe Moment video I made. It's low quality millennial shit to filter out the word I can't say. It's a 4-minute mile having defeated wokeism, much more to elaborate. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out his channel. And yeah, and if it isn't good, because I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, if it isn't good, give him fucking hell in his chat. Okay, or his comments. Okay. Is there blood upon your hands? Wow, I just did that little melody and I was trying to think of myself where it's from, and I think it's from a Victrola 78. Is there blood upon your hands? Do you dare take his holy name in vain? By the very act you do, you will crucify him too. Man, Where did that come from? Man, I used to have a Victrola. Need to get another Victrola once the zombie apocalypse comes. You know, all those the electricity is going to be gone. All right, I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch up here. Trying to catch up, folks. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. I'm swiping down. Nothing here says I still haven't come to Lowell's or what the fuck? Oh, you motherfucker! Ugh! Get out! Get out! Oh. All right. All right. Come on, man. People talking about Cat being married. Who the fuck's talking about Cat being married? Okay. I'm way behind, I think, people. I'm getting your questions. I'm moving. I'm trying to go faster here. You see, I'm spending so much time. There we go. All right. This is the one I was originally looking for. And now I have the two chats lined up. Lowell says, COVID response policies enabled the destruction of the analog world, which was part of its purpose. Comment Semiagog. All I can say is I tend to agree with you. It seems very, very clear that all of this shit with the COOF was designed to push everyone online, requiring mediated communication so that there's never really anything happening face to face, which means that the powers that be can insert themselves into all communication. They can monitor all sorts of communication and multiply, rhetorically speaking, almost infinitely the opportunities they have to track you and your peer groups. It really comes down to that whole business of being able to assemble publicly. It's now controlled. And in the realm in which we are supposed to imagine that we have some semblance, some virtual public assembly, they can do whatever the hell they want with it. And we've already seen that they have no concern whatsoever for being truthful about anything in terms of likes, in terms of views, in terms of downranking you or shadow banning you and all the rest. Yeah, it seems to push everybody into a position where they're mediated, whether it, be ordering your fucking groceries and never going to the grocery store again, or, wearing masks while you chat with each other through whatever that shitty Chinese Skype thing is called, Zoom. I can't remember what it's called. I don't care. Yeah. So Lowell, I tend to agree with you on that. Absolutely. Yeah. And but further to that subject, there's one book I'd recommend, though I do not recommend the author's lifestyle. And that is Immediatism by Hakim Bey. That being Peter Lamporn Wilson, who has since died. I met him one time in New York. He's the author of Taz. Back when leftists were still pedophiles, but were much more interesting. Immediatism. He sets forth the idea of immediate communications rather than mediated ones, and in that respect, it's actually an interesting book. All right, I'm moving along here, and I just need to make sure that these things track more or less, so then I can see the parts where, what's a BP? What's a BP? Body puissance? What's BP? Oh, blood pressure. This is great, man. Oh yeah, it's Saturday night. Yeah, obviously I'm a little bit stupid. What just happened? Oh man, it just updated. Oh fuck. It just updated and moved me down to the bottom of the live chat. So I'm going to have to do it over here on the other side. I'm going to try to move more quickly now. Fuck you very much. Yes, you're correct, but fuck you very much. I am, yes, an old person. Okay. Moving along here. Next question. King salmon fish. I can make the HR people like me. generally, I can get people to like me, but I have to care. And see, what you don't understand, because you're still a spry young lad, is that you eventually arrive at a point in your life where you don't give a fuck anymore. Okay. Glow in the dark. Totally unexpected question. Best organ meat. Intestines. Kokoreç in Turkey. Tried kidneys, don't like them. Tried brains, don't like them. Chicken hearts are good. And I like to think that hearts in general could probably be good. Tongues, beef tongue, that kind of thing, like that. But kokoreç, which is where they chop up the intestines and they have all kinds of onions and other shit and all kinds of crazy hot spices and garlic, I think. What the hell is in kokoreç? Hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's find out what's in kokoreç. What's in kokoreç? Let's find out. Lamb or goat intestines wrapped around seasoned offal. Yeah. Including sweetbreads, hearts, lungs, or kidneys, and typically grilled. A variant consists of chopped innards cooked on a griddle. The intestines of suckling lambs are preferred. It's mostly lamb and goat intestines, and so yeah, I don't know if that counts as organs, but that's what I like. That's good. That's very good. And what the Romanians call ciorba, which is işkembe çorbası in Turkey, the intestine soup with tons of garlic, is also very, very good. Minoan, hello, happy to see you. Says, has it gotten over 80 degrees? Have you melted, or have the trees spontaneously combusted? Yeah, it got up as high as the mid 90s. Yeah, otherwise, no. The main thing is humidity. It's 94, 95% humidity, which is just crazy. But no, the heat, I'm used to it. And even the humidity, my people coming from New Orleans, I'm used to that. Evan S says, Semiagog, what are you drinking this evening? I am drinking my old fashions made with maple syrup. Apple juice, I'm sorry to say. I never know whether or not I'm going to get in trouble for fucking talking about drinking alcohol. Do you ever feel when you look at a cigarette butt that might have been put out too early that you're wasting it? I just have to. I can't. Huh. Addiction? Problems? I don't know. Remember, I talked to a friend of mine who had been homeless for several years and learned from him that I never had to worry about cigarette butts because you can always collect them, cut the burned off end part out, fill your bag up with smoked tobacco. And just from butts, you can keep rolling. He said, you sleep under a bridge. Your big problem is finding a place to wash and cigarette papers. Okay, next. Elijah already asked about light and darkness. I'm trying to remember what the next one is. I believe we are finally going to hit the mid-century Germans and people like Crowley. If I'm not mistaken, that is the one that is coming up next. Tom Anderson says, where is Pohl? Otto Pohl, an excellent scholar, very, very knowledgeable about the German diaspora, knowledgeable about other things besides. I recommend Otto Pohl for anyone who wants to learn anything about the German diaspora, particularly to places in the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, and what's Russia today. He's very, very knowledgeable about that. Don't know where he is, but he's a good guy, and I consider him among the group of friends. Okay. Next question. I'm looking for an @Semiagog. XD says, Semiagog, do you read Communist Theory? I've read the Communist Manifesto. I need to read Das Kapital. Let me see if I can make some more light in here and show you guys. I have actually, does this thing get brighter? I think it does. Let's make it brighter. You can kind of see a little bit. I finally have most of the boxes put away. You can see I've got these shelves with all the books and stuff going on there. Let me see if that makes it any better. Does it? It's bouncing light. Sorry. But you can see those shelves are all up. They run over to here. And then I've got these ones, and this whole section is up and running now. You can see. So yeah, soon I am going to be writing again. Oh God, this is too fucking bright. Oh. Soon I'm going to be writing again and doing quite a bit of reading. So I hope to get into the communist theory, but I think next, honestly, I'm going to be dealing quite a bit. I need to do a bunch of reading about the tarot. Yeah, a bunch of other things. Man, and there's a book I actually thought about sharing with you guys that I finally read and wanted to discuss. I think I'll do that in a future clip, but it's called it's on Metis, Cunning Intelligence in Greek Culture and Society. It's very, very good. Very, very good one I just read. Where's my fucking alcohol? God damn it. I also think I'm going to be doing some cool group streams for a holiday coming up soon. Man, by the way, let me take a quick moment to prop up my peeps. Check out Prudentialist. He's been on, I've appeared over on his channel. I think he's appeared on mine. If he hasn't, he sure as hell should have. Yeah, he has. Hasn't he? I know I've been on his stream, and we've been on streams together. Has he been over here? Yes, he must have been over here. Anyway, Prudentialist, check him out, definitely. Praise of Folly, who recently appeared on my channel. As I said, bright guy. King Salmon Fish, I've already, thrown him a bone. Academic Agent, John D. Panama Hat. He's got some new stuff over on his channel. I highly recommend Panama Hat. And Pharaoh has the best channel on art, period. And he's a right-wing dude. And he's got Panama Hat over there with him, and Alexander Adams. Alexander Adams is a very knowledgeable practicing artist who also writes a bunch of great stuff. Check out Ferro, Ferro. Also, Apostolic Majesty. I was just recently over on his channel with him. We were talking about Turkey, the Ottoman Empire, and Turkish irredentism. He's got a bunch of stuff. I'm not up to date on all of it, but he's been doing quite a bit on the French Revolution lately. Great channel. Great guy. Check out Apostolic Majesty. Who else am I forgetting? Mr. Patriarch is part of the crew. Columba, part of the Pasta Posse, who's over there with Apostolic Majesty. Frody, I've already given a shout out to. Definitely want to give a shout out to Millennial Woes. If you want to follow him, you have to go over on Telegram, but he regularly does the Gram of Woes on Mondays. Definitely check him out. Morgoth, always enjoy him. Yeah, and other people will come to my mind. If I've forgotten that, Jared and Jason, No White Guilt. And if I've forgotten other people, they'll come back to me. So please don't be pissed if I forgot you. I'm trying to prop up people and push their channels, because basically, if we don't do it for each other, it's not going to happen. I'm killed. If I showed you my channel performance over the lifetime of my YouTube channel, it's all like growth. I've been throttled. So that is the only way to make shit happen. Okay. Yeah, so back to communist theory. Yeah, I'm gonna read Das Kapital, and otherwise the only one I'm reading that really has to do with that is Gramsci, a book on Gramsci and his linguistics, which is an important book. But that's going to be, I have to finish that one because that's going to roll into my book on Marx. That's the other thing. I'm going to start writing again soon. I actually am gonna start writing. First thing I have to do is typeset and get a test copy ready for my Circassian translation. Then I have to work on my Semiotics of Nationalism book on marking. And I am writing new sci-fi. And it's going to have all kinds of good shit that will be interesting to people on the dissident right. Okay. Next question. Jacob says, Semiagog, does mainland China exist as a unitary state in 2050? I believe so, more or less. Except I don't think the Chinese Communist Party will at least nominally be in charge at that point. I believe that while some of the same warlords and power structures will still be in place, they will have undergone a facelift, much like the kind of facelift that Romania had after Ceausescu disappeared and all the Securitate people sort of, came out from behind things and acted like they hadn't had much to do with everything that had gone before. Okay. Semigog, do you think Russia would have invaded Ukraine if Trump had a second term? I don't know. I am waiting. Get back with me after the midterms, and I will hopefully have developed a better sense for myself of what it is I think happened with all that Trump stuff and what it was all about. I'm still up in the air. I don't know. On the one hand, it's entirely possible that when the people who backed Trump saw that the people who were against him were willing to go balls to the wall and break every single fucking rule, and to do it more openly than they had the guts to do in the past, it's possible that they said, okay, let them, bring them in, give them more rope to hang themselves, and we'll hammer them. And the midterms would be the signal of that. And if that is the case, then I think what's most likely is that they said, fine, Trump can go away for a little while. And then all this other stuff that needed to happen to push this general picture forward can be blamed on someone else. And Trump can come back in and he can say, oh, I told you that Biden was going to destroy the country. And look, it's exactly like I told you. He's still got to work out some shit about the vaccine in terms of claiming that for himself. But God knows. Or I'm just as wrong as I was when I said that he was going to take strong action and that he would straighten out the fortification of the election and come back into office. I'm just as wrong as that. And Trump isn't a part of a much stronger bloc that backs him, in which case I would say, shit. How do I say this? You're asking me whether or not Russia would have invaded if Trump had a second term. I don't think so. But that is predicated on the idea that there's actually something going on with him and that there's a block of people behind him who are playing a long game. I could be wrong about that. And we'll see during the midterms. Fuck. I don't know. I probably shouldn't even talk about this publicly at this point because it's just something it just seems bigger. Everybody wants to say emergent behavior. Everybody wants to say, oh, it's all happening because people are so stupid. Oh, it's just stupid people. And I'm like, yeah, it's an abundant resource, human stupidity. Yes, maybe it comes down to that. But some shit is going on. And there are people behind the scenes who've had a power for a long time who are playing this game. And I don't know yeah, I shouldn't have said anything about any of this. So yeah, I don't know. I tend to think that if he had just this is the problem that comes with your question, is that it assumes that elections matter and that he could have come in for his second term. And because elections don't matter and he didn't, it doesn't really matter at all, right? Which then leads me to think, well, could elections ever matter again? And well, if they could ever matter again, I'd have to assume that there were people who cared and would want to reintroduce them, which then brings me over to the level of thinking, well, who actually backed Trump in the first place? Was he just a sport, like a genetic sport, some crazy shit that just fucking happens, random? Or is this a part of an ongoing clash of people who, want to seize power at the top? Never mind, erase all that. Sorry, I tried. I am not a number. I am a free man. I tried to answer your question and probably shouldn't have. So, yeah, forgive me. Okay, what's next? God, I shouldn't have even fucking broached that. Great white lobster. Another name I haven't seen in quite some time. What is this question? What do you think of synthwave retro wave? I think it's banging. It is not my thing unless it is the kind of material produced by our friend who just recently put together my awesome Conan soundtrack. Synth stuff, as I told him, I'm into cyberpunk. I'm into I was when I was young. I could like occasionally listen to like a Ray Lynch song or something, but all the retro stuff of showing like mid 80s graphics and synthesizers. Remember, I was there for that. Now I know why my mother looked at me when like I was 22 or whatever, and I had a 3-button suit with a really slender tie on my neck, and I was doing the whole 60s thing, and she was like, "Honey, I was there. It's not interesting for me." It's just like the regurgitation of the 1980s. I'm like, I was there. I don't. I didn't like the 80s when it was being interpreted. So why would I much like the 80s when it was being reinterpreted? Oh, don't put it up there. Put it down there. Okay. I don't know if that's if Cyberpunk Internal Affairs is doing it. I like it just because he's a peep. He's done me right. But generally, I think that whole Fash Wave thing is kind of. Mark Bolton says Apple used to be awesome back in the 90s. Yeah. And now I'm fucking old, which is why I remember it. Yeah. Did he say AOL? Yes, I did. Okay. Episcopos is coming back in. Okay. I already answered that one about the port of Odessa. I'm moving along here. Peoples, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Zed Dead asking for questions. Thank you, Zed. I'm moving right along. Oh, and Guy from V, very cool guy. Commodore 64 was better for games also. Yes, Beachhead 2. Beachhead 2! Commodore 64. Although I really did like playing, what was it? Syndicate on Amiga. That was a fucking awesome game. Mr. Ixme, Adobe Suite. Yeah, their updates. It's like every goddamn week you've got to turn around where somebody did a useless facelift. It's just like corporate consulting. I used to call it corporate bulimia. You would be brought in by the C-suite to help them deal with whatever the new thing is, because they'd bring in a new CMO. The new CMO would say, we have to look like we're doing something new. And so they would hire you to redo their identity or whatever. And then they would get kicked out within a year or 8 months or something. And then there'd be a new CMO, and it's bulimia. That's binge purge. Be like, no, we've got to kick everything out and we've got to outsource it and have contractors that we deal with. Or no, that's just ridiculous. We've got to bring it in-house, and we've got to have a department that handles it so that, we're not paying as much to deal with the contractors. And they just constantly, it's rearranging deck chairs on the sinking Titanic. They're just constantly doing facelifts and tit lifts and tucks and collagen injections and tattooed eyelids and bullshit. And constantly what's coming out of Adobe is just like, look, man, I get that you want to upgrade things, but don't you understand that there's some value in the people who use your product knowing how to use it and not constantly having to relearn it? Yes. Sorry. It's Saturday night. All right, I'm on the next thing. Anyway, yes, Mr. Ixme, I agree with you. What the fuck? Baby Squirrels is telling me to use Temple OS? No fucking way, dude. I mean, I have to admit, the Temple OS story is pretty fucking funny and trippy, but no, that's not going to happen. Okay, Cyberpunk Internal Affairs. Beeps. What does he say? What do you reckon is the convergence between COVID and the COOF? Sorry. The COOF. What do you reckon is the convergence between COOF and monkeypox? Hopefully that will deal with the auto transcription. Fear mongering, firing on all cylinders, or more calculated steps towards global medical tyranny. Um, I don't know. I don't know. And to be honest with you, at this point, now that I'm out in the country, I'm not sure that I care that much. I did observe early on that fucking monkeypox. Who came up with that name? Um, yeah, I don't. It's a mess. Um, no, from everything I can see about monkeypox at this point, it's just kind of a side issue. And to be honest, it doesn't seem to fit with their program insofar as it seems to be spread primarily among sort of one group, if you take my meaning. So I don't know what to make of it. There are the things that people created as a problem, um, whole cloth. And then there are things that just happened that they attempt to turn to their purposes. And it seems increasingly, if anything like that is going on, monkeypox is just something that people turned to their purposes. Oh, hey, Maître Marc. He is the lord of his own independent kingdom in what's that little island? God damn, I want to fucking say Tasmania, and it has nothing to do with Tasmania. What's the fucking island? Ah, God damn it! I can't remember anything about Australia, so I can't remember where his kingdom is. Oh my God! Map of Australia. This is what happens when you're old and drunk. Map of Australia. What's the fucking island on the south, man? Come on, dude. Am I really that retarded? Oh, sorry. It's taking me forever because now the graphic has to fucking download. Jesus. Lord in heaven. I'm absolutely shameful. I'm trying to give my buddy a shout. It is Tasmania. Why do I guess it must be the Warner Brothers cartoon. I'm thinking that, yeah, I've got it confused with Madagascar or something. Anyway, Maitre Mark is the lord of his own domain in Tasmania, a fine gentleman. We have spoken in the past. I highly recommend him. He asks, do you think Zelensky will get the Nobel Peace Prize this year, or will it be Hunter Biden? Yeah, brother, I don't know. It's yeah. Actually, in recognition of you, and the fact that you smoke as much as I do, and recognize that this is full of vitamin C that keeps you healthy, I'm going to light this cigarette for you, Maitre Mark, and say, I don't know, man. Hunter Biden and Zelensky are both disgusting. I think what distinguishes the one from the other for me is that Hunter Biden causes nausea and repulsion, and Zelensky causes disgust and righteous indignation and anger. Hunter Biden, you wouldn't want to punch him in the face because you want to puke when you look at him. Zelensky is likewise disgusting, but you still want to punch him. So that wasn't really your question, Maitre Mark, of a kingdom within what is incorrectly called Tasmania. But hopefully that's at least a step in the right direction. This one goes out to you, brother. Fencing master too. See, people who know how to fucking fence are righteous. Maitre Mark is one of them. Okay, next. Mr. Ixme. How is the night sky where you are? Can you see the starry splendor? Yes, I can, but it's seldom clear. I'm not. I don't really understand yet at this point whether I'm in an odd little microclimate or if we're just having a funky summer. But you have to have a particular kind of very clear sky without light pollution to really have the stars show up. Which is why even if you're far, far from light pollution, you're probably not going to see the stars in the sky like you would if you were in the high desert. So, yeah, I can certainly see more of the stars in the sky than I could in my old city, but I do not see them quite as much as I would like. And the other thing is I can't capture them on my damn cell phone. And also, I don't know yet. Let's see when the drier weather and probably the winter comes, where I can stand in one place without having to like be concerned about being eaten alive by 16 different man-slaying species of insect. I might be in a better position, and I will be able to tell you then. Und next, the Central Academic Agency says mercenaries. What are we talking about? Well, mercenaries is what we're talking about. Okay, next. Is there blood upon your hands? Do you dare take his holy name in vain? By the very act you do, you will crucify him too. Then there's, how does it go? Sure to be I can't even fucking remember. Oh, Man Ray of Hope is in the house. Another old school person I've seen on the channel. Semigog, sorry I was later. Did someone ask who blew up the guilds, the guide stones already? Somebody asked about whether it was interesting. They didn't ask if we knew or I knew who did it. Yeah, I don't know. I've just never really cared about them. Okay, this is from Brandon Williams. Says, Semigog, what are your thoughts about the USA signaling that it will reduce sanctions on Venezuela to get them to produce more oil? I don't know. I don't think Trump would have done it, but I think, they're probably trying to cut some deal. I don't know, because I have not looked into it properly, but clearly the United States was trying to cut them off and spleen it to them so that they would have to make moves to get their act together before they could be readmitted to not being fucked out into the margins. That was all going on under Trump. With Biden in office, obviously there's no need to do anything with fucking Venezuela because we produce enough energy of our own that we don't have to turn to anyone. So the fact that they're talking about the possibility of bringing Venezuela back online, and the fact that they haven't done it already, suggests to me that while Biden at some point wants to pretend like he cares about the energy situation, well, two things. One, I think they're trying to create an energy crisis, so it suits them to pretend while doing nothing, because they could just, reactivate our own domestic production. The other thing that comes to mind, but of course I don't know about it because I haven't gone and looked at Venezuela lately, is the idea that there's all kinds of Chinese and Russian influence there. And so those parties could in turn be throwing sort of a wrench into the works in some respect. So, yeah. Dear, this from Cyberpunk Internal Affairs. Beeps. Semigog says, thoughts on alleged report Trump is running in 2024, maybe with DeSantis as a running mate. Think GOP would work against his campaign as much as in 2016? No. If he in fact does it, he's going to come in with a whole lot more weight behind him. Also, if he does it again, then it's going to suggest to me that he really did have proper backing, in which case he's going to crush the people internally who want to stop him. But I don't know yet. Get with me on that with the after the midterms. But I don't think, and I think even DeSantis has said that he's not going to run if Trump does. So I don't know. I haven't kept up on the Trump side of things lately. I do miss him though. I wish he'd come back and fucking make fun of everyone again. I wish he'd stop talking about his stupid, fucking, disgusting vaccine. Okay. Interesting question. I don't know. Semigog, where will Western Culture Industry Center go when Disney Hollywood folds? I don't know. I mean, obviously, China's got an investment in such things. India has an investment in such things. And even in the United States, we've seen some, movement, some distribution of what previously was closely geographically held, for example, with the movie industry coming to Georgia in many respects. Um, but I think that's probably going to be folded in together with the whole business of decentralization and much smaller. How do I say it? Like you can have a YouTube channel show up that ends up having a lot of followers, and it does its thing on a shoestring budget compared to what formerly would have been required to do a a news program on a major television station. It's just a matter of time before we see entertainment in many respects go in that direction. I mean, in fact, part of the reason I think for all of the fucking cape shit, bullshit, Pukorama superhero, I can't say it on YouTube, that filth, is that it requires so much investment in terms of crazy special effects. But we all need to face the fact that at this point now, it is easily within everyone's power to produce just good dramas, simple action movies, all these things on a shoestring budget ourselves. And so, leaving aside the fact that we have to get our heads around that, which is totally separate discussion, the right needs its own entertainment industry, and it needs its own comedy. It needs its own comedy, um, front and center. But leaving aside that discussion, I think we're going to see something similar. Like, your question would be like this, where do you think the newsrooms are going to go after Washington, D.C. and New York are no longer the centers for them? I'm comparing that to your question, where will the culture industry go after Disney and Hollywood fold? Well, the answer is nowhere, because it will be distributed. And once we realize that it is within our own power to do those things ourselves, cape shit aside, where you need, crazy computer power in order to do your rendering and the rest, it should go everywhere. It should be distributed and put into all of our hands. And that's a really important thing. Let me go over here. I'm going to make a note. For an episode. I made movies and things. People don't know that. Episode on producing our own right-wing content and comedy in particular. Yes. So yeah, that's my answer for you. Episkifos. Episcopos, right? That's what everybody was talking about. They're like, no, that's not epe and skifos. That's like episcopal. Yes, I'm a little bit stupid, and you know that. You all know that I am a little bit stupid. Okay, next question. Wow, this looks like an esoteric question. Let me see if I can even understand this question. Semigog, given that you generally adhere to the concept of ascendance through four forms, I'm assuming that's ascendance through forms with a typo, and I'm assuming forms is just a direct translation of idea. What do you consider to be the original form? If I understand the question correctly, I'm going to go with the Macintosh translation of the opening of the Tao and say, beginning self did not begin, no ending can there be. Who holds fast to these truths shall win to immortality. Who warms his body at that fire sees nothing but the smoke. But he who puts aside desire, the flames self may invoke. That's not actually the opening ones. What are the opening ones? The way that can be named by man is not the eternal way. The name that can be named by man is not the eternal name. Eternal truths. Fuck. The name that can be named by man is not the eternal name that was before the world began or human language came. Yeah. The way that can be named by man is not the eternal way. Something about what men writers say. The name. Anyway, it's emptiness. It's the center of the hub. It's the empty space that makes the house. There is nothing above the forms. But infinite potential, and insofar as it is infinite potential, it is unmanifest. Potential is like a zero as a placeholder, going back to things like Crowley's Naples arrangement. Insofar as it is a placeholder, therefore the potential for anything, it must be no thing. But it is a plenitude that is no thing, which is very different from saying that it is nothing. Anyway, most people will not get that. One of the few who will go off and go off and have his own takes on all of that, I'm sure, is King Salmonfish. Okay, you fucking asshole! Morph. By the way, since we're going into this whole fucking business with morph means structure, morph means form, morph means shape. So you know what? Here's another reason not to use fucking morph. We've already got form, which means the same thing as morphos, right? Structure. Formed. We already say formed. We've already got structure, which means the same thing as morph in its roots. We say structured. We already have shape, which means the fucking same thing as morph actually means as its semantic core. And we could say shaped, formed, structured. Now we have to say morphed. You fuck. I hate that fucking word. And a very, very good friend of mine that I talked to recently said, well, yeah, it kind of morphed from one thing into another. And I'm like, you fucking vermin. All of you are fucking vermin. Okay, next. You fucking all of you talking about this shit. Fucking scum. All right, here's one from Prism. Fine gentleman. I want to buy some land and start building living quarters in a modular fashion as cheaply as possible. I remember you looked into this a while back. Recommendations. Will. I looked into it a little bit, but you know who really looked into it was Tim. And over the years, excuse me while I fill myself a new drink, he looked at pole construction where you buy those, creosote like telephone poles and you sink them, and maybe with a small, god damn it, now I'm making a new mess. You sink them with a little bit of concrete as necessary, as footings, and then you build your structure on that. He really liked that for a while. Then he looked at geofoam, expanded polystyrene, and what really amounts to building your house out of a beer cooler, which is really cool because it's light and your structural elements that you're building it out of are, great insulation in and of themselves. You have to spray them down afterwards with fiber reinforced concrete. That's pretty cool too. But you have to make sure they're anchored really well because the structure itself is so damn light that it can be blown away in high winds. But in the end, his big thing was just he kept hammering on it. He's like, just put a slab down, build a steel construction. Then you're not building your house out of something that every insect under the sun wants to use as food. And believe me, from the carpenter bees to the carpenter ants to termites, there's truth in that. There's value in that. There's value in never having to worry about some bug deciding that your home is its food. And it tends to be light and relatively inexpensive, especially against the background of the increase in lumber costs. So where he ended up was just build a steel frame construction and then basically lay in closed cell, not to be confused with open cell, closed cell foam. And where I am now, I have 10 acres. I have 2 buildings. I have kind of my shop library, my shop library building where I am now, which is about 1,000 square feet. Then I have a 2-story building that's, I call it the tin can, or AA called it the elf tower, Oscar the Grouch in his garbage can or whatever. But it's basically like a grain silo made out of metal. It's not on a slab, and it should be, because then I don't have to worry about radon and shit, and you have less of a problem with uh with termites and the rest. I don't have any problem thus far. But that dude who built that, I bought it off him. He used closed cell foam all in the interior, and he just packed as much insulation as he could possibly get up into the roof. And man, that place, even on a 94-degree day, it's still cool inside. I will never, ever in my life again live in any building that doesn't have great insulation, because it just changes your life. It changes your expenses, everything. So anyway, short version, I would build on a slab. I would build with steel. I would use closed cell foam to insulate it. And as Tim pointed out, the closed cell foam also has kind of a binding aspect. It actually adds structural strength. It adheres, and it acts as a moisture barrier. So closed cell foam is awesome. So I would build a steel building on a slab and use closed cell foam and other insulation to properly insulate it. And that's my best guess at present. I mean, if you live out in the desert or something, you could, do straw bales and adobe or some shit. But like where I am, slab, steel construction, like barn dominium type shit, closed cell foam, and every other kind of insulation that you can possibly get your hands on. Put everything into insulation. I mean, I'm running AC out here in this shop, which is built out of wood, but it's on a slab, and it's well insulated with kind of conventional rolled in, rolls of insulation that you put in between the studs or whatever. And but well insulated, and it's got insulation up under the metal roof. And then it's got these boards, the ones they screw up in there that have the what looks like aluminum foil on one side. They're insulation panels, and the rolled insulation. And yeah, it's a little warm here on a 95-degree day, but it's nothing like outside, with no attempt to control the temperature. And then the steel building with the closed cell foam and the insulation in its ceiling, it's just cool, even on a 95, 98-degree day. I will never, ever, ever, ever again live in a house that's not properly insulated. Ever. I'll never do it again. It's so ridiculous. And yeah, my electric bill cooling 2 buildings is still under $100 in the middle of summer. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's my recommendation. Build Prism on a slab with steel and use closed cell foam, and then every other kind of insulation. You basically just be like, how can I possibly get more insulation into this thing? And then you're going to be where you need to be. This one from Adamantine49. He says, Semigog, did you start smoking when you were in Turkey? What do you think about heavily discouraged nicotine use here? No, I started smoking when I was, oh my God, man, I'd walk up to the Magic Market with Jimmy Sanford to buy comic books, and we were like 13. And I remember he was wearing Jordache, and he would always grab his balls. I never saw him grab his balls, but I knew he did it. He would do some weird thing to haul his balls up into the front of his tight Jordache to make it look like a bigger bulge. And I remember I started smoking around that time. We'd go in the woods behind the house, and he'd have a pack of menthols, and I'd smoke one and sit there all dizzy and fucked up in the woods. No, I started smoking around 14 or 15. I was smoking a few times at 13, but around 14 or 15, I started smoking. Smoked more in Turkey. I liked the fact that in Turkey, when I first lived there in the 90s, you could go visit your friend in the hospital, as I did. My best friend there had I miss him. I got to talk to him soon. He had knee surgery, and I went to visit him in the hospital, and there were ashtrays in his room. I'd go to the bank and be waiting in line to withdraw money at the bank, and they've got ashtrays, so I'm waiting in line smoking. Even turkey isn't like that anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Tobacco is it's an adult vice. It's not for children. So yeah, you will pay the price for smoking. You will also enjoy the pleasures of smoking. Um, this whole this whole business of like, you know, the nanny state telling me what I can do. Um, I don't know. How do I say this? I don't care because the knuckle dragging slobberers will always have to have their nannies. And I don't care if their nannies come and tell them what to do. Just don't get up on me. I don't care if society wants to impose certain norms, but it should only be up until a certain point so that those who wish to live outside those norms, provided they do so discreetly, they should be able to. It's like I was talking with like joking with John D about, you know, homosexuality should be safe, legal, and rare, right? All these various vices that a lot of the people on the right wing want to come and attack. This is the part of me that will always be libertarian. Fine, attack them socially, but you better leave room for people who are adults and who can choose their own vices to continue to do so. Um, so yeah, I don't even know if that comes down to being more libertarian or hoping that there will always be gaps in the structure that emerge as a result of centralization never having been taken too far. But I don't know. I hope Adamantine 49 that is some kind of an answer. Bachabazi Boy Scout, disgusting name. Says you getting Anteos back on for more esoteric talk. You must have come in late. Yes, I hope to have him back. I don't know when it will be, but he is always welcome, and he has said that he is working on the next of the Light in Darkness series, but I don't know when it will be. It likely will cover this time the mid-century Germans and people like Aleister Crowley, but we will have to see. God damn, that shit is good. What happened? Right around 48, whiskey just started to taste good, really good. It used to be that I drink whiskey because it was fun. You get drunk, you'd listen to music, you'd chase ladies, but you drink it, you take a big slug of whiskey and you go, and then you kind of go, right? And then you drink it. Now I drink it and I'm like, come here. Come here, you little fucker. That is good. I don't know what happened. Right around 48, 49, whiskey just started to taste fucking good, man. All right. Next up. Oh God, I'm now passing through the phase where people were asking me about organs, talking about liver. Yeah, liver's all right. There's a way that the Turks serve it with fresh minced onions, and I want to say a bunch of parsley, and then they do a tiny little shish, right? They do also another thing called chop shish, but the small shish that they do, ciğer, I think is what you call it in Turkish, ciğer. Anyway, it's really small pieces of liver, and they're stuck onto kebab shish. Turks call them shish, right? But it's the long metal rod, right? And you slide the pieces of meat over them. And the Turks will cook really, really small pieces of liver all along the length, and they rotate them so they cook very nicely. And then they serve them with lots of minced onions, and I think it's parsley. And they'll also roll them in something like it's like a tortilla, but it's made out of wheat. And they'll roll them up, and man, that shit is good. That kind of liver's good. But like my mother used to make liver occasionally, and it was just kind of like meh. I like the liver when it's small and it's well cooked. Generally, I like meat well cooked. My mother's all like, "You don't have to worry about trichinosis anymore. You know, like, I'll make this pork roast, and it can be a little bit, you know, rare in the side." I'm like, no. I like my pork cooked. I want it like almost burned and sort of crunchy-ish on the outside. I like my bacon not burned. I like some of the rubbery center, but it has to have a little bit of crunch on it. Like meat should be cooked more, except for steak. People don't cook meat enough. And I actually listen to a bunch of assholes in Turkey tell me that if the meat was burned, it will cause cancer if you eat it. But these are the same people who are like, Abi, if you come in from out of the sun and you are very hot and then you drink cold water, you will get a hole in your stomach. All a bunch of fucking assholes, man. But yeah, the meats have to be properly cooked. Man, I am so far behind. I am going to move fast so I can see if I can get to any of these questions from the people who have come in more recently. Okay. Minoan says, Semigog, do you have a Chesterton couch in there yet? No, I have an old couch. And I think I'm going to replace it and get a new one fairly soon. And then I'll probably put the old one out here. So there's a proper place to lounge, and read and that sort of thing. But yeah, I do not have it yet. I will eventually. I want a proper leather sofa. When I moved to Turkey the second time, I basically, I sold a badass leather sofa I have had like an idiot. God, man. That's all right. That's all right. These things happen. Can't take any of it with me. What's this? Minoan says no Sunday stream tomorrow on Prude's channel. Shame on Prude. Man, how can I find out about the frog of the week? Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully he'll be back. Dave V, a guy from V, mentions Dave Martell. I should give him a shout out too, man. He came on my Conan stream, did a great job. He's been appearing all over the joint. Check him out. He's also publishing all kinds of pulp and sci-fi and fantasy and stuff. What's this now? Pure Palm says, Semigog, how about a film recommendation for a Saturday night, Oliver? The last film you clued me into was Dogville, and I enjoyed it a lot. Kind regards. Well, thank you. Let me go over here. If anybody wants to figure out my film recommendations, all you have to do is go over to Twitter, and this is how I find it. I type @Semiagog, so it's searching my back catalog, and then I type movies that don't suck. You heard that? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, movies that don't suck. And you will find a thread that says lots of people are self-isolating, what to do for movies free from relentless anti-white social justice messaging. Here's a list of ones that don't suck, mostly free of our contemporary social engineering. And there's all kinds in there. Waterloo, just a few of them are coming up here. Outland, Gilda with Rita Hayworth, Brazil, The Duelists, Escape from New York, Conan. There are all kinds of ones in here, but they're not coming up because my bandwidth out here on my shitty internet service is being used up by live streaming. But yeah, go to Twitter, type @Semiagog, and then immediately just put a space and type movies that don't suck. And you will have all of my recommended movies. Oh, somebody mentioned Closington. I don't know if that was in response to me talking about Peeps, but yes, Closington is a part of the crew, AA's crew, and he produces content and is a good guy. Yes, somebody mentioned Chris Gard. Yes, Chris Gard has been doing stuff with Panama Hat, and he's been producing great songs, man. Great songs. I mean, as I've mentioned to him, he looks like he fucking takes a chicken with two hands and just like bites into the whole bird, cooked or not. But yeah, he's a beast. He's he's doing great stuff. Check out Chris Gard. What is it? Morbicot? Let me find him on YouTube so I can give him a proper shout out. I am following him now, right? Yes. Am I? Oh Christ. How long is this going to take me? Sorry, he does deserve a proper shout out because as this person, yeah, it's Chris Gard. First name Chris, CHRIS, space GARD. And he's been doing all kinds of great stuff. He did one on Shilling Today, The Rolling English Road, Tommy. He did one of the roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along. Yeah, check him out. He's doing great music. Chris Gard. So yeah, props to the person who remembered. Okay. Und next. Yeah, Adamantine 49. Ask Circassian translation. Yes, I have done a translation of a book written by a Circassian in service in Egypt that was the information for it was gathered in the 1860s and forward when the Caucasus was falling to Russian invasion. And it was published in 1894, I want to say. 1890s, definitely in the 1890s at the Bulak Press in Cairo, which was the first proper printing press in Egypt. I've translated that from Ottoman Turkish because that was sort of the lingua franca of the region. So the Circassian who wrote it did so in Ottoman Turkish, and I've translated it. And now I'm going to typeset it and publish it. Aaron asks, have you seen The Adventures of Baron Munchausen? Yes, and I enjoyed it. I've seen it several times. Why is this person writing over and over again, can you shattered your face? Simply because it looks like nonsense. I'm going to go ahead and tell that person to fuck off. Okay, moving right along. Oh, it wouldn't let me get rid of them. Zedez, if you're still here, can you just make this Bella Lustre? BELLA space LUSTRE person just go away. I think I'm able to put them in timeout, but I can't. Yeah. Oh, okay. Zedez already took care of it. Thank you. Sorry. You can see how far behind I am. Oh my God, another one. Get fucked. Oh, Zedez must have already taken care of that. Okay. I am so far behind. What is up with these fucking bots, man? Fucking bots. Fucking bots. Another one. What is up with these? Yeah, focus bot attack, as Julius Flavius says. Of course, I'm so far behind that I can't even see it. Yeah, thank you, Zed, for taking care of that. I'm trying to catch up. What the hell? Another one? The hell did this come from, man? Ugh. Huh. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is by Arash T. Thoughts on Iranian trade with Russia possibly bypassing the US dollar and its implications for future global trade in the future. Future global trade in the future. Oh. Well, that's interesting. Basically, if Russia works things out with Iran as it seems to be doing, then it can cross the Caspian to Iran and in partnership reach the Persian Gulf. And that gives Russia more or less what it has wanted for quite some time, which is a warm water port. However, it is a warm water port that is already ready to be blockaded, probably in part because of the potential that Russia could use it in partnership with Iran, but also blocked because Israel and Saudi Arabia are concerned about Iran, which is the Straits of Hormuz, right? So it's interesting that Russia could open up that trade corridor and get its own gas out as well as Iranian gas through the Persian Gulf. And maybe they could do some interesting things if Russia is now behind Iran in terms of breaking through what is a kind of blockade there with. It's not like they blockaded the Straits of Hormuz, but what they have done is played all kinds of games, and the they means I don't know who, but they've made it so that if any tankers were wanting to go through there, they'd need higher insurance and they'd have the risk of weird shit happening. So they've made it less desirable a route and thereby chiseled into Iran's profits. If Russia backs Iran because they're coming that route too, maybe they could do more. So that's interesting in and of itself, and I've seen some signs that that is going to be happening. In terms of bypassing the US dollar, um, I have not looked into it enough, but I will say this. I do recall that somewhere around 2009 or 2010, and I remember this because I was working in Catalonia. I was in um, I was in Spain, in Barcelona, and I was working for a company there. And I remember I had the option, I think, of whether or not I wanted to be paid in euros or dollars. And at the time, the euro was strong. And I want to say that this is roughly, if I'm not screwing it up, somewhere in there, there was the idea of floating a petro euro, and there was going to be some sort of cooperation between the the Iranians and Europe in order to make this possible as an alternative to the petrodollar. Jesus, what the fuck is going on? I like had my cigarette half fall apart and I'm burning my arm. And at that time, the euro was getting very strong, and it looked like the EU, I want to say 2009, 2010, but and it looked like the euro was going to get even stronger still, and that there would be an alternative to the petrodollar. But then, and I remember this because I was supposed to get paid in euro, and it was very strange. The people I worked for kept putting off paying me and putting off paying me and putting off paying me. And when I finally did get paid, I remember I looked like a couple months later at the exchange rates. And when they finally did pay me, it was the absolute nadir of euro value against the dollar. Scumbags. But basically, what I'm trying to say is I haven't looked into this and I didn't check it properly at the time, but my impression has always been that roughly around 2009, 2010, let's say right in there, it looked like Europe was going to come up with a petro euro that was going to be an alternative to the dollar, and that it was going to be in cooperation with Iran. And as best I can tell, that's right when the euro got the shit hammered out of it, and they had a first sort of economic crisis in Europe. And I think that that's behind the scenes movement by people who back the petrodollar, who were like, you want to try that, bitch? We'll slap your ass. Like Tim used to talk about the Italian refineries that they tried to set up in the 70s, and all that got crushed, and the Italian economy went into a tailspin. Like the Seven Sisters and the powers that be said, oh, fuck me. Oh, fuck you. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what those implications are. Maybe now there is a situation where that could happen with Russia and China conceivably being on board with it. But I don't know. It didn't do well in the past. Maybe now something like that could happen. But even if Russia partners with Iran, if they want to get out onto ships, tankers, rather than just doing stuff with pipelines, then they still got to get out through the Straits of Hormuz, which are already blocked. Okay. Und what is next? Oh man, I'm coming up on 2 hours. Man, how much alcohol do I have left? See, if I go past 2 hours with you guys, how many cigarettes do I have left? All I have to pay is the pain in the ass of having to download it and re-upload it rather than it happening automatically. Okay, I'm going to go to 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Oh, Horse Mumbler is in the house. Another old school fella. How's your light bulb situation? I can spare a box of incandescent if you need some. I have all the light bulbs I need. Incandescent, I've got them. But let me tell you this, the motherfuckers are all being made in the Philippines now. So 1 in every 2 blows within like 5 minutes of screwing it in. So you can still get them. They're more expensive and they don't work for shit. Scumbags. That's another reason why I miss Trump. He was like, I just want a normal light bulb. I just want a dishwasher that has enough water in it. I want one of these. I mean, can you imagine fucking HE, high efficiency? Why is it if HE washers are so efficient, how come I have to wash my clothes in them twice? And then run another rinse cycle for them actually to get clean and have the soap rinsed out of them. I'm just so tired of people pissing down my back and telling me it's raining. I'm just tired of it. All the shit doesn't work. And I'm not a slobbering Gen Z. So I was actually there. I was there. You can't tell me differently. I was there when appliances worked. I was there when shit that you bought lasted. Not all of it. Yes, you had late 70s US cars that were all fucked up, but for the most part, shit worked. And I was there. I know it can work because I saw it. And now they're trying to pawn off all this fucking European garbage on us, all this high efficient, like when I lived in Turkey and I got one of these Bosch washing machines and I paid real money for it. This is when I lived there in the 90s because I wanted a fucking dryer. And everybody's like, we don't have dryers, abi. We don't. Who has dryers? You put string up and dry your clothes. And yeah, actually, if you dry your towels on a clothesline, they're more scratchy, which is good. After you get out of the shower, it exfoliates. It feels good. You kind of, it's like slapping yourself with a switch after you get out of the sauna or something, right? That's good. Hand dry your towels, then they're rougher and they feel better when you dry yourself. It makes more of a cleaning ritual, right? A ritual of cleansing. But they never had any fucking dryers. So I bought this Bosch washing machine and it was supposedly it dried your clothes because it steamed them. And as I said on Twitter recently, it's like using a Chinese restaurant's kitchen to dry your clothes. Like it steamed it out and they came out sort of damp and sort of dry. Like fuck that European shit. I don't want that. My appliances used to work. They're all trying to fuck us. So yeah, same thing is going on with light bulbs. I'm being fucked and being told that this light source, which flickers strangely and makes you feel like you're nauseous and like, even though you're not an epileptic, it'll bring on an epileptic fit because you're forced to operate under this so-called light source. Ugh. They're all fucking us. All right. Great question. Semigog from John Lon. Best 70s Sabbath album and why? I like all of them up to I think the 5th or 6th album, whatever the one is. Basically with Never Say Die, they just start going to shit. Man, Sabotage is one of my favorite, and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. But then Volume 4 has great shit on it. I mean, yeah, but Sabotage probably is the one that people don't know as much about. Okay. Next one. Und next, God, I'm so fucking far behind. What is next? We've got 27 minutes left. Und what is next now? Tasmania. Everyone's giving me a hard time for not remembering where Major Mark is. Man, I'm just telling you, look, what happens when you get old is, yeah, there's a little dementia. Yeah, you're probably not as smart as you once were. I certainly don't want to take my fucking IQ test again because I fucking rocked it at age 8 and or 9. And I don't want to go anywhere near one now. But let's be gentle with the older people. Here's the bottom line. I've got so much wisdom in here. There's so much fucking wisdom in here that I just, you kind of lose track of it. It's a superabundance of wisdom that makes it so that I can't remember things like Tasmania. I don't know what it is. I think it's that I thought of Tasmania. I thought of the Tasmanian devil as being something from Africa. And for some reason I associated it with Madagascar. So yeah, anyway. Yes. Okay. Next. McDougal says, great to see you. Great to see you too, McDougal. Thank you very much. And who is next? I love this. All you fuckers call him Alensky because of the Duran. Why did the Duran start calling him Alensky? Is that to like get around the fucking algorithms? I don't know. Okay. Famous quote. Great quote. Doc Holliday, Tombstone. Okay, next. What? Prism says, Und Semiagog, what do you make of all the food processing plant accidents lately? Yeah, those accidents. I don't know, dude. More of the mess. Seriously, there's no way around having to assume that some factions, at a minimum, want to make it so we do have to eat crickets and we all starve to death. I don't know. Here's the best way to answer this question. Build Back Better, as I have observed many times, is utterly meaningless unless everything has first been destroyed. Let me repeat that. If you haven't fucking destroyed everything, then who cares if somebody says Build Back Better? So it would seem that in order to build back better, we first have to absolutely destroy everything. And my guess is that what's going on with the food processing plants is likely a part of destroying everything in order to justify the power grab that comes with building back better. Okay, this is a technical question from Glow in the Dark. Thoughts on the seeming failure of loitering munitions drones in the first real conventional war? Yeah, I have not looked enough at that, so I'm not gonna hazard that one. Apologies. I wish I could answer it, but I'm not in a position to do that. Here's an unexpected question. Barrel roller. Semigog, what do you make of Renaissance fairs? I went to a few Renaissance fairs too, I think. And I got drunk at one and stood up on top of a table and told a story about how Thor lost his hammer and found it again. And it was all in rhyming verse. Let me see if I can remember at least a few bits of it. When Thor awoke, his rage was great, for his hammer was not there. He pulled his beard, he groped about, he shook his long red hair. Then these first words the war god spoke. Loki and all the lore, a thing unheard of in heaven or earth. Someone's stolen the hammer of Thor. Then quickly they went to Freya's home, and these first words Thor spoke. Freya, to seek my hammer out, will you lend your feather cloak? I'll lend to you my falcon guise that lets the wearer soar, that Loki might travel far and wide and seek for the hammer of Thor. Then Loki he flew, and on he flew, the feather cloak whistled shrill, till he left the land of the gods, and came to the halls where the giants dwelled. There Thrym sat, he sat on a burial mound, twisting a chain of shining gold as a leash to hold his hound. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the rest of it, but I used to have it memorized. Apparently, even drinking, I still have it mostly memorized. And I told that story, which has a great fucking punchline because it's taken straight out of the old sagas and the tales of the Norse gods. Yeah, but the other problem with the Ren fairs and Ren fests, we called them Ren fests, was that all kinds of fucking freaks showed up there. I mean, of course, you had the people who had like, you know, their rapier and they had the proper leather hanger for their sword and they had their main gauche over on the other side and they had all the lace and they had their full costume and stuff. Fine. But there were all the crews of people who hung out at those things constantly. And I remember one guy who was never stable in the first place ended up with this weird redheaded girlfriend. And they would hang out at Ren fairs. And if I remember correctly, the story, I went over their house one time and Steve asked me to come back in his back room with him and said he wanted to show me something. And while he was pulling whatever out, he was all covered in sweat. And so was his girlfriend. And there was this sweaty bed. And there was like a couple weird wet spots on the bed and a hammer. There's a fucking, like a small, not a big one, like a big 28-ounce framing hammer, but there was this small, like, you know, household hammer laying on the sheets with these weird sweat spots and like one or two small blood stains. And I was like, who is this freak? Anyway, he and his girlfriend were always hanging out at Ren fairs. And if I remember correctly, they had a baby. They gave it away to Buddhists for adoption. And their big angle on that story was that they ate the placenta together. So if you're asking me what I think of Renfest people, um, something like that. That's what I make of Renaissance fairs. Renaissance fairs is where if you're just visiting, you can tell a story and get out of there without having your spine bent. Um, but if you spend any amount of time there at all, next thing you know, a small hammer is going to be a part of your sex life, and you're going to give your child away to Buddhists and eat the placenta. How's that? Is that a good answer? Let's move on to the next one. Und what is next now? I'm going to skip. Oh, what? Dawn Browning is in the house. Field Marshal Dawn Browning. She didn't ask me a specific question, but I want to say hello to her and welcome. And she says, get prepping. Definitely get prepping. Okay, next question. Oh, I'm trying to go here. Why is there someone named Ali who is saying this all goes above his head? Are you taking my fucking name? Man, you better really truly be named Oliver, or I'm going to be pissed. I hate when people take my name. All right. Prism is helping me with all the shit I misremembered on the Dow. Man Ray of Hope says, Semiagog, are you morbing, brother? Is that a Morbicuck thing, listening to Chris Gard? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I do not know what does that mean. Look at all these old people from back in the day. Tuesday FA Tuesday. Oh, Morb is a fucking angle on fucking morph. All right, let's move on. Okay, I'm gonna post this question just because I have no idea what's going on here. Shannon Hall says, Semigog, what do you know about shape-based wave of de Bélizel, Chambray, Turin, and Anal? Anal shape-based wave? What the fuck? Energy that rides the what? Huh? Chambray. Can I copy this and paste it? It won't let me will it let me copy and paste from here? Let me take it off and see if I can copy and paste it. No. Damn it. Chambray, Turin. Let me just type this in. Enal. Chambray, Turin. This looks like math stuff. Man, I can't find that. And I think that's too big brained and mathy for me. My IQ is way up there, but it's mostly verbal, in my math, because I was not properly coached in it as a young man and fought against it. Yeah, it's horrible. Horrible. Actually, my lack of understanding of mathematics is probably like the greatest tragedy of my life. So yeah, sorry, I cannot answer that. I wish I could have. Okay, scrolling down here. I think we're coming to the last cigarette and last questions phase. Hey, somebody asked where Jonathan Pohl was. Here he is. He is in the house. Dr. Pohl. As I said, everyone should check him out if they want to understand anything about German diaspora. Okay. Man, okay, this is a rough question. Because they're the parts that I have seen, and man, just Anatolia in general is fucking gorgeous, man. Anatolia is like the easternmost part of the West. Anatolia is gorgeous. Really, really, really beautiful countryside. I mean, really beautiful. And there are just areas of it that are fantastic in different coastal areas. And, you know, you got your what they like to call the Aegean areas versus the Mediterranean areas. The most beautiful sunsets in the world comes from Side. If you'd asked me once upon a time, and I still can't tell you it's not true, I would have told you most firmly that the most beautiful women in the world come from Turkey. Certainly the ones that had the strongest impact ever in my life on me thus far have come from there. But the most beautiful place that all the Turks told me about is a place that I have not yet visited, and hopefully one day we'll be able to visit, which is Artvin, which is culturally it's sort of more with Iran and the Caucasus than it is with Anatolia, because it's getting up around the, well, from where you guys are looking, how would that go? It's getting up around the curve of the Black Sea littoral up towards Georgia, away from Turkey, but it's still Turkish territory. And it's, crazy ass slopes with tea plantations coming straight down into the Black Sea, and just beautiful waterfalls and rivers and mountainous areas. But I have not seen it. But more than one Turk who had been to Artvin told me that it's the most beautiful place in Turkey. But that's saying something, because they have many, many beautiful areas. All right. Next question. See, this person is fucking based, right? Your ribs have to have a little bit of crunch on them. If they don't, man. Actually, yes, my sofa was Italian. I think it was Nuzzi, which at least wanted to pretend to be Italian if it wasn't a real Italian brand. Let's see. Not Tootsie. Was that it? I can't remember. Maybe it was Natuzzi. Maybe it was I thought it was Italian. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, if it wasn't an Italian leather sofa, it was pretending to be. So, how's that answer? Okay. Now, back over here to the questions. Hey, 99 Iron Duke is in the house. Another guy you should check out. And I still want to have him on. We've been going back and forth about a topic, but we have to decide upon it. Decide upon it. And I have not yet heard from him what the best topic is. So all I'm doing now is at present keeping him in mind if there's anything where I talk to veterans and soldiers. Hey, Facile Goose is in the house. Guaranteed. Facile Goose is guaranteed to provide the craziest fucking esoteric comments that you will ever find in your comments. Okay. Next. I can't believe that I fucking confused episkopos for episkopos. All right. I've never studied Greek. I mean, I can say kalimera, kalispera, efcharisto, enadia, trio. Fuck, what is four? Tessera, epti, exi, no, exi, epti. Fuck, enia. I can't remember all of them. I used to know a little bit of Greek. I can't remember shit. Okay. Now looking further for questions. We're coming to the end, ladies and gentlemen. But you better not run away just yet, because there might be some last minute badass questions. And I might extend it further if the questions are great. So don't be a pussy. Hope. Man of Lore, another old-time channel follower. Semigog, have you watched the YouTube podcast Future Conflict yet? They're like the magazine Soldier of Fortune, which I used to read in the 70s. I have not looked at it, but I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. Let me just get it over here so that I've got it to check out later. Future Conflict. Or is it Future? Okay, I think that's the one. It certainly looks like a Merc channel. Yeah, I have not seen it, but I will check it out. I will definitely check it out. And thank you. Hmm. Yeah. Back when shit worked for over 20 years. Yeah, it just worked. You know, it just crazy it worked. When back when doctors knew what they were doing and didn't you know, send the nurse out to ask you what the problem was and then got on the internet to make sure that they knew what to say to you when they talked to you. All while talking about how they hate people who self-diagnose using the internet. Fucking assholes, man. Ugh. All right, what's next? Wow, people are talking about old British appliances. I can't imagine that shit, man. British appliances, man. Keep me fucking Lucas Electronics on a British motorcycle. Oh, you talk about how Brit shit was together. I would take an old 70s BMW motorcycle over a Brit one any day. Although the Brit ones were quick. I wanted a fucking BSA Rocket 3. No, it was a same engine, different name. Triumph Trident. I almost bought a Triumph Trident, but I didn't have quite enough money, so I had to stick with my 70s R75. Is it R75 or R70? See, that's when you're old. R75 BMW. Yes, it was called an R75. That's the one. Yep. With those leg warmers on it. All right. What's next? Oh, hey, Horse Mumbler has an answer. They started calling him Alensky after that hilariously inane horseshit about banning the letter Z. I like that. Now I know. Thank you, Horse Mumbler. Next questions. Semigog looks more like one of the cast of Lost Boys every week. The fuck are you talking about? They used to make fun of me in Turkey, calling me a vampire too. I take my vitamin D pills. I just don't want to go out in the sun and affect my beautiful skin. Do you see? Look at this. Can you see this? Do you see these fucking, what did they used to call them in the Oil of LA commercials? Can you see those horrid age spots? Calling them freckles is not enough. God damn it, my shit's falling apart. I was full of vim and vinegar and energy. And now I'm just fucked. I'm just old. I'm going to be fucking scraped off into the ditch. Ugh. All right. Look at the second horizon. Says math is symbols. That's all. Yes, but there are ways of thinking about it and accustoming yourself to it in such a fashion that it does not put you off. I need to you know what I need to do? I need to hang out with mathematicians. Actually, I need to find good old boys out in the country where I live who are not feds trying to ass rape me. And I need to find mathematicians. So I need people to go hunting with and fishing with and canoeing with. Any recommendations? Much appreciated. I guess I can fucking reveal this. I'm in Northern Alabama. But also, I need to hang out with mathematicians. I have just found that when you hang out with people who do that thing and really understand it, it's very different from trying to go to school about it. It's very different from trying to read about it. You're just around someone who knows it. And in the course of talking to them about what they know, you just learn. I need to hang out with mathematicians now. The problem is, man, most of the mathematicians are they're so empirical that I need to hang out with theoretical physicists or something like that, because the straight mathematicians, they're intelligent, almost as intelligent as me, but and some who are slightly more intelligent, but they're off in this land where all the speculative nature of how they think, the ones I've run into anyway, they don't have a freedom. They have sort of they have a kind of what are you talking about? They dismiss everything. Like the empiricism that came with the maths was sufficient to destroy the part of themselves that would still try to reach out into the unknown and try to understand it. And I'm sure those people are around, but they must be in theoretical physics or something. Yeah. These people talking about Turkey being far too hot. Turkey, whatever. Where I am now is hotter than Turkey ever was, and Turkey is generally drier. What? Turkey being what? Turkey being hot? Where I am in the southern US is on the same latitude as fucking Morocco, man. Turkey's latitude must be like somewhere in the neighborhood of the middle of the East Coast in the US. What are you talking about? Okay, moving along. All right. Well, we have some kind of answer here, but I only found it a little bit late. So yeah, it's outside the scope. Listen, this guy talking about fucking Turkish women. Well, to be honest, the one that hammered me the hardest was half German. But man, that mix worked. But my expectation is you've probably seen Turkish women who moved out of Turkey and are living somewhere in Europe. The Turks who stay in Turkey are very, very different. Daniel Robinson says, Semigog, I love your geopolitics videos. Thank you. They're not what they once were when I was talking with Tim, but he says, I think an African analysis would be really interesting. I'm curious your thoughts on Morocco and Ethiopia. Yeah, I've been looking. I have to take a look at Africa. Like I said, I'm hopefully going to have Conscious Care Call on, and he is certainly an authority on South Africa. So we'll be able to figure out a little bit more about what is going on there. I am looking, Ethiopia is worth taking a look at vis-a-vis Egypt and the Renaissance Dam and all the water games and fighting. But I think I want to look at the Sahel in general, because everything seems to suggest that that Asia is being pushed together. I cannot get it out of my head. I realize I might be wrong. Maybe it's not accurate, but everything that the United States is doing with pushing Europe and Ukraine to fight with Russia, all it's doing is fucking Europe. And in the end, all it's going to do is strengthen Russia, and it's going to increase the leverage that the US has over Europe, because they can say, oh, well, you got problems. We'll deliver LNG on ships, even though we can never really meet your demand with it. And at the same time, it's pushing Russia into China's arms and China into Russia's arms for the time being. And so everything that I see going on with Europe seems to suggest that this Ukraine stuff is designed to fuck Europe. It's basically designed to crush Europe between Europe and between the US and Russia. So this leads to Africa as follows. If you form a block over in Eurasia where India and Russia, who had long cooperated, but now they're going to cooperate more closely, and China still has its issues with India and probably will have greater ones based on its desire to put together a blue water fleet. And then you deal with things like Sri Lanka and the Straits of Malacca and whatever those little Andaman, what the fuck that island chain is called. Andaman, fuck. Anyway, those who know will know that little island chain that the Indians are further fortifying. There's going to be more tension probably between India and China. But anyway, India, China, Russia are to a certain extent and to differing degrees relative to whether we're talking about one or the other in that triad, are being pushed together, and Europe is being hung out to dry. Well, at the same time, they're being flooded with Africans. And if I remember, maybe it's Kalergi stuff, but like there's old shit going way back that says that Europe should be paired with Africa. Well, if Europe is paired with Africa, then one of the big questions becomes energy. Well, they destabilized Libya to create all kinds of problems that flooded Europe with migrants. But at the same time, that created all kinds of destabilization that goes further south into the Sahel that raises or creates all sorts of problems in terms, for example, of running a pipeline from Nigeria up to the southern Mediterranean coast to supply energy to Europe. So if Asia is being pushed together into a block and Europe is being crushed, it raises the question of how Europe will be forced together with Africa, which increasingly seems to be happening. And the key to understanding that seems to be the Sahel, because you've got French forces there. You've certainly got Russian forces there. You got Russian forces and European forces going back and forth, and weird backing also with the United States and with Egypt and with Turkey in Libya. Anyway, that's too long, and I've already gone past 2 hours and 30 minutes. But I'm going to need to look at Africa. But I think my next one, maybe I'll do it with Praise of Folly or somebody like that. Maybe with Prude. Both those guys are very good in terms of looking at Africa. All right, I'm coming up on the end here. I have how much whiskey left? Just a tiny bit. Okay, I'm going to light one cigarette, and this is my timer. Consider this a fuse, and then I will be out of here. No, there won't be a 4-hour stream. But, however, I agree with Ollie. Stealing my fucking name. If I find out your name is actually like D'Artagnan or something, I'm gonna crush you. I'm gonna crush you. Fake using my name. Where is love? Please, sir, may I have some more? You have to be a real Oliver. Anyway, I agree with you. Unpopular opinions. D is absolutely wrong. Should always go to 4 hours. Wait a minute. We got one from Facile Goose. He's what the fuck? Sorry, I didn't get Facile Goose. Sorry, Azimuth Clark 462. Facile Goose says, "Did you see Pompeo's speech last month about 3 lighthouses of liberty as nodes for a new global security architecture?" Yeah, I did see that, and it seemed pretty, like, everything that made me think that Pompeo might not just be a shitbird, like him, going from being in Congress to being head of the CIA. Everything that I thought about him might be cool because he seemed to back Trump. I don't know, man. And Tim and I had the idea, it was originally mine, and he agreed that Pompeo might come in as a further, he might run for something important. And we also looked at how much weight he lost suddenly that changed how he appeared so much. And, he might run or something. I don't know. I have not done my due diligence and actually watched all of that or read all of the transcript. But from what I've seen of it, it just made me go, ew. It just sounded like your usual neocon shit. But again, I did not look at it as closely as I should. So, here's my last cigarette. Let's see what we have for last questions. This is it, peoples. What do we got? And we are coming to the end. It's strange. I haven't seen Waterpenny in here. Hey, Ollie says it's actually Oliver based. Another Oliver. Yep. In my life, I've met one other Oliver, maybe two, one or two. And then I met one guy who also had the same tattoo I have. One Oliver and somebody else who had a fucking tarot card tattoo. Makes me feel special. Of course, I am not. I am not special. I am not a special snowflake. I'm just another 50-year-old shitbird. Okay. Any final questions? I'm going to just sit here and smoke this last cigarette all by myself. Surely. I mean, in the time it takes to smoke this, I can answer a good... Look at this. I also have long hair and similar disillusion. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oliver Reed, fucking based. Apparently, he did like to fist fight, too, which is also kind of based. Here's a question, but I'm not going to field it because we're on YouTube. So I saw it. I'm not dissing you. Just can't address it here. Episkifos Episcopos says, are all the Chainsmoke episodes up on Odyssey? No, a lot of them are, but not all of them. I still have to, God damn it, I still have to do that. I must do that. I will do that before too much longer because I have all of them. And there is even, ladies and gentlemen, I have mentioned it before, there is one Chainsmoke episode that has never been seen because I decided not to post it because Tim and I got into a huge argument about circumcision. And I probably should put that one up just because no one has ever seen it. And if I do that, I will put it up on YouTube just to say fuck you. I will put that one up. But it will very quickly thereafter become a BitChute and Odyssey exclusive. What's my favorite Turkish food? Ooh, man, there's so much. God, man, you fuckers don't know. There is really good Turkish food. Like there's village stuff. Like, I mean, a good, well-made tarhana soup is so good, man. Or like if you have good mantı with, with all the proper spices on it and the yogurt and the buttery sauce that's been cooked with the peppers and poured on top. Whoa, it's so fucking good. Kuzu tandır, like Turks can cook lamb like you have no fucking idea. What else? I mean, there's so much good Turkish food. There are all these great fucking Ottoman desserts. Some of them, for example, are like taken from the French, like they do their own profiterol. And back in the day when I was still in Istanbul, the famous place to go for good profiterol was inci. I think it's inci. I always get inci and incir confused. I think it's inci. Yeah, God, man. Beendili kebab, which is like where you take the eggplant and you scorch it over fire to cook it a little, and then you peel it off, and then you wring it with your hands to get all the water out of it. And then you put, I think, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it's a little bit of milk and butter and maybe some flour, and you whip the smoky taste eggplant together and cook it and heat it. And then it's like, imagine mashed potatoes where you form a little divot in it and you put in all kinds of delicious meat and gravy. But in this case, instead of mashed potatoes, it's like eggplant that tastes like it's smoked. And then it has all the cuts of meat in it. I mean, all kinds of desserts, even like fırın sütlaç, like even simple, like it's a baked rice pudding in the oven. Man, I realize I'm talking to a bunch of right-wing people who are like all pissed about Turks who show up in Europe and stuff, but man, they have fucking great food. Great food. So good, man. And you don't see it. Like if you go to some Turkish ghetto in Hamburg or something, you're not going to get the same food. Turks have great food. Really, really good food. I very much miss it, man. Karadut akdut. Like you can go to the dry goods stores and they'll pull you out light or dark mulberries and all the different types of raisins you can get. Man, I'm going to catch all kinds of hell where everybody will be like, oh, you're a fucking Turk, No, I'm not Turk, but I got part Greek blood. And that part of the Eastern Mediterranean, just trust me, they know how to live. The Greeks are very similar, but of course they're going to eat the pork. They'll have souvlaki and, but the Turks call their backgammon tavla and the Greeks call it tavli. It's very close. What the Greeks don't want to admit is that after the disappearance of the Greek world as a center of culture, which happened, to be fair, before the Turks ever came in, and the Venetians were fucking the Greeks before the Turks ever did. Basically, Greece became like the rural areas of the Ottoman Empire, and the center was Constantinople, and then later Istanbul. And so, yeah, Istanbul's an imperial capital still, even after being reduced, and it has all of the delicious foods of the empire there. And they have all kinds of weird things that they'd make with desserts with rose petals. And I think gelatin of some kind. I mean, all kinds of absolutely delicious, all kinds of desserts made with milk. You guys have no idea. And if you want to diss Turks, they're archers and wrestlers and horsemen who grew up literally in parallel with Indo-Europeans. They're a kind of cousins. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So I still have let me drink the last of this whiskey and see if we have any final questions that I missed. Because we're coming up on it. I think I'll close at 2:45. Semigog is the Thomas 777 of the South. I'm older than that motherfucker. I like actually Thomas 77 though. He's all right. Look at these motherfuckers talking about Turkish coffee is like drinking chalk. First off, Turkish coffee is basically Arab coffee. Turkish culture picked up coffee from the Arabs, and you know where they picked up tea from? The Russians. And the primary drink that Turks drink is tea. It's not coffee. The coffee is an Arab thing. And yes, the Turks do it. And when it's prepared properly, like I like mine, orta, right? You can have it sade, which is just straight coffee. You can have it şekerli, which is lots of sugar, or you can have it orta, which is how I have it. And when it's prepared right, if you boil it just right, it's very good. But people bitching about Turkish coffee, not Turkish culture is tea culture, preeminently tea culture. And that's by imposition of the Russians with their trade. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Semigog is Thomas 777 of the South. Yeah, I like him. He's wanders off in his own way as he speaks, but his mind. He's one of those people, like an old buddy of mine who went to law school, graduated from one of the top 5 law schools, and then encountered the world of law and was so fucking disgusted by it that he had a total life breakdown. Like everything that he thought mattered, like the idea that the law mattered and that there would be someone somewhere who actually cared about this tradition of utmost importance for us in the West. And he discovered no one gave a shit and they were all scum. I don't know about Thomas 777's background, but he seems like one of those people who similarly had a mind of the first water and then encountered this world of law and was so disgusted by it that he went his own way. But I enjoy checking him out. And actually, that's another shout out to give is Loud Sound Epicenter. I've spoken with him and some of those other folks, and he often has Thomas 777 on his channel, and I recommend his as well. So let's see. We're coming up on the end here. Do we have any proper final questions? Is there anything here? I don't know what Fry's Turkish Delight is. Russians got chai from the Chinese. Yes, indeed they did. But we've got now teas in the West. Like Chinese tea can fuck itself. I'll tell you this. Chinese tea can fuck itself. And I realize that Yorkshire tea is not based, that they've shown that they're scumbag fucking sniveling worms. However, I was actually dating a half Turkish, half English chick when I discovered Yorkshire tea. And like she brought Yorkshire tea back from London and I was like, what? This shit is fucking awesome. And I had to drink it over and over and over again. I just loved it. Could not stop drinking it. Yorkshire tea is the best tea in the world. Yes, they're scum. Yes, they folded. Yes, they sucked it. But still, the tea is so fucking good. So you can talk all day long about how the tea came from further east, but you had to get Europeans involved to bring tea to its proper level. And still, Yorkshire tea is just fucking awesome, man. Awesome. Okay, so Elias Seal says, I thought the Italians took coffee from the Turks. No, earlier they were exposed to the Arab world and were a part of it, indeed dominated parts of it. And so they first encountered coffee from the Arabs. And when I first moved to Turkey, you could order Nescafe if you wanted like a normal, something that felt like a filtered coffee, but wasn't Turkish coffee. European coffee was new to them. Even when I was there in the mid 90s, the first time, they were not used to European coffee. And you'd have to go to Bebek or to Nişantaşı or something, to some fancy spot to like, they'd be like, filtre kahve ister misiniz? Right. In order to get a filtered coffee. It was only later that they caught up. And to be honest with you, you still can't. Coffee produced by Italians is like way, 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 way higher quality than any of the coffee the Turks will produce at their best. Even coffee produced in Spain is way, 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 way better than any of the coffee the Turks can come up with, because the Turks are a fucking tea culture, not a coffee culture. They've got the Turkish coffee just as their own little nod towards their period of, interaction with the Arabs. Okay, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. I just passed 2:45 anyway. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for sticking with me. Buy my book of poetry. God damn it. Link in the description below. Those of you who are going to be they're going to be far more of you who would be interested in sci-fi, like sort of on the cyberpunk side of things, Vinculum. You can find that on Amazon. Link in the description below. And let me just run through one more time what I have coming up. I'm hoping to launch maybe a 3-part series. We'll see, with Praise of Folly in the near future. I'll be appearing, I believe it is on Sunday the 31st with Frody Midjord. I'll be talking to him over on his project, Guiding the Storm. Conscious Caracol, I still have to lock it in, but that should be happening on Thursday the 28th. Strategy series is coming back, and indeed Anteos will be joining us again to continue the Ezo Light in Darkness series. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thanks for sticking with me on this AMA. Until next time, I am Semiagog, and I am out.